Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry, and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. So guys, we are on the tail end of May, the last couple of days of May, get to move into June. It's a great time. It's a great season for lawn renovations. Just want to share a few updates with you guys. Some of you guys were saying you want to see how the Zoysia is coming together on the front lawn. So I'm going to add some video of that, as well as some video updates for the back lawn as well. Also got some great pictures from viewers. Lawns in different states. Mario sent us in some pictures so we can take a look at how his top dressing is progressing. So lots to get into this evening. As always, we're coming to you guys on all the major platforms. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X. I still can't call it quite Twitter yet. I can't call it X. I keep calling it Twitter. But yeah, however you want to consume the show, feel free to be part of it. Also, you'll see here that we still don't have super chats. So if you want to support the show, you can use Cash App to do so. I've got my phone here, so if someone does do that and you want to be the show sponsor, I'll be able to glance down, hopefully see that, and get you up here and move your question or comment to the top of the queue. All right, with that, let's get into the show. Our first comment of the evening comes from Mr. Aaron. And again, for the first set of questions, these don't often come in order from you guys are putting them in, but once we do that, you should be good to go. Anyway, Aaron says, I'm planning, actually, this is his first question. He says, hey, Ron, where would you recommend getting a soil test, through My Soil or local universities extensions? It really depends on you, man. The big thing I tell folks is pick one and stick with it. The benefits of My Soil, why I'm such a fan of them, is for one, soil test results are saved in their portal. So as far as being able to compare how your soil is changing over time and not really having to hang on to a piece of paper, there's that. In addition, you get the full gamut of all your nutrients. So from nitrogen all the way down to your micros, your boron, your zinc, your copper. They also get recommendations as far as what's in the soil tests, as far as what products can work well to help amend the issues that you're dealing with in your lawn. And I personally think that for most people, the results from the My Soil test are easier to interpret for most people. So for those reasons, I recommend those, and that's what I personally use. The big thing though is just to pick one and stick with it. So if you're going to go with an extension office, like UGA has a great extension office, they do a lot of soil testing. If you're going to do that, just pick one and stick with that. What you don't want to do is go, get a soil test from My Soil, get one from this extension office one day, then go to Clemson for another one. What you'll find if you do that is the overall curve will match, meaning that, as far as like a nutrient level being high or low, like that will match between them. The curve will match between them. But as far as the actual levels, as far as how they do the analysis, might be slightly different. So big thing I would tell you, pick one, stick with it. I like the ones from My Soil. Use whichever one is best for you. All right. Hope that helps, sir. You had another question. Let me get you all squared away. Actually, we got a couple of cash apps. Let me see what we got here. We got, wow. Thank you so much, Anthony. So we got, first of all, I want to put some respect on his name. So cash app from Ted. Thank you so much, Ted. Appreciate all the love. And then Anthony Hayes, huge cash app. Thank you so much for all the support, sir. That was really, really generous of you. $255. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. I'm gonna be able to take care of my fertilizer demands for the month of June and then some. So let me get you up here for a second. Here we go, Anthony Hayes. Here you go. Your name in lights, whatever that means to you. Actually, you know what we're gonna do, Anthony? If you don't mind, I mean, and I know you deserve to be all by yourself. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna, because Ted also did drop something, I'm also gonna put him up, if you don't mind, for like the first 30 minutes, and then it'll just go back to you. You good with that? So that work? Because I want to also recognize Ted as well, because he's been a long time viewer of the show. All right, so there you go, guys. Your names in lights for whatever that means to you, Mr. Anthony Hayes and Mr. Ted Rogers. Thank you so much for the super chat. It really means a lot. All right. Moving on to the next question that Aaron had. Aaron is a man of many questions this evening. Let me make a note of that first one, because I'm sure other folks are going to have that, and we'll jump into your second one, which is also quite good. All right, he says, I'm planning on leveling my lawn. If I were to aerate it, which, if you can, you should. Here's the thing I say, before I even get into your question, Aaron, the only scenario I'd say you wouldn't want to aerate your lawn as part of top dressing it is if you have a relatively newly sodded lawn or a newly seeded lawn. So for example, my front lawn, it's almost 2 months old. Like in 3 days, it'll be 2 months old. So for something like a lawn like that, although it's tacked down pretty well, I did not aerate it before I top dress. At any rate, back to your question. He said, I'm planning on leveling my lawn. If I were to aerate it, which you should, would it be better to keep the cores on the ground or scoop them up? My soil is mostly clay. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. What I tell you is if your soil is primarily clay, and if from your past experience from aerating, the cores will stay, when they dry, they get hard, meaning they're not really quick to break down, then you can pick them up. But if your cores will break down, meaning if you go and core aerate your lawn and like 3-4 hours later, you go pick a core up and you can easily take it in your fingers and just do this and it breaks up, then no need to pick it up. No need to do that. So it really depends. I actually have a section of this on my, my video on core aeration. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this and make it even easier. I'm gonna send you guys the blog on core aeration, because that will then, the video's embedded in it. There's actually a section, because I get this question so often. The last video that I did on core aeration, which was a few years ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to have a section to answer this very question because people ask it all the time. Let's see here. How to core aerate your lawn. There we go. And there's the blog. Okay, so here you go, Aaron. If you take a look at this video, you'll see that I answer that very question, or this blog post that has a video embedded in it. I answer this question within that video as well too. Core, or said how to core aerate, or said how I like to core aerate. Aerate your lawn. All right. So hope this helps, sir. If you need anything else, do let me know. But yeah, big thing is it depends. In my case, I don't pick them up. All right. Next up, we have Mr. JP. He says, when you verticut, Do you verticut in one direction and then go 90 degrees to that direction? No, let me answer it this way, for you, JP. At the beginning of the season, like when I'm using verticutting to thin out the lawn, like in late February, March, yes, I'll make 2 passes. When I verticut, like starting now, I just make 1 pass in one direction, and then I will alternate. So for example, for the month of, beginning of late April, early May, I verticut going away from the house. You know what? I can talk, but why not actually show as well? So I verticut in this direction last time. The next time I verticut the lawn, which should be either this weekend or the next weekend, it will be in this direction. All right, so it will be like that. So I do alternate each time, back and forth, and then yeah. So each time I do throughout the season, I go one direction and the other, and then back and forth. So the thing I would tell you is, you don't want to, if you're going to do 2 passes at a single time. What I would recommend is make sure you go light. So make sure the verticutter is not like carving channels into the soil. Go light as far as that. All right. So hope that helps, JP. Verticutting is one of the best things you can do for your lawn. Just make sure you go light when you do it. All right, next up is Mr. Jackie Berry. Says, Brother Ron, have an excellent live stream. I holla. Thanks so much, Jackie. I really appreciate that. And then Mace is talking to him. He says, let's see here. We have Mace says, hey, Ron and Lawn Fam, what's the one thing you can do so you don't see any brown turf once you start low cutting? Got rid of a bunch of thatch before, but before I scalped to winter seed in 24. How are you able to go so low and it stays green? So, okay, yeah. So an example is a couple of things. Is I don't, thing one is what JP asked about earlier, is verticutting or doing something to thin the lawn out as it's growing throughout the season will help maintain like great color. It also helps reduce thatch. Something else you can do as far as reducing thatch in your lawn is to just not over fertilize it. So if you put too much nitrogen down, that can cause thatch, and which honestly will also tend to cause the lawns to not be as vibrant. So verticutting, bagging your clippings is another reason why. So if you take a look at even the front lawn, which I can show you here, like granted this is Zoysia, but same thing. This is mowed at the same height as the back lawn. I realize this isn't grown in as yet. It's only about a week and change out from being top dressed, and it's, you know, you can see here that it's the color's really nice. There's not a lot of debris in it. But if we go to the back lawn, which is cut far more frequently, far more mature, you see the color is still really good, cut at the same height, 3/4 of an inch. What I do is I bag the clippings, I don't over fertilize, and then also I verticut the lawn monthly throughout the growing season to go and thin the turf out and get all that debris and trash out of it. So it's a lot of it is cultivation practices, Mace. So verticutting and also really not over fertilizing the lawn. Like people think that more is better when it comes to fertilizing. That is not the case. That is not the case. All right. All right. Next up, we have Aaron Pate. He says, can I apply biostimulants on the same day the sod gets laid? Yes, you can. Yeah, so as far as when I put out my sod, Aaron, I did carbonized PNG, and I also did the 14-7-14 fertilizer. So I did granular biostimulants and fertilizer granular fertilizer on the same day. Once the sod was in, about a week and change afterwards, I started spoon feeding the lawn, very light amount of nitrogen, along with the Release Zero carbon kit. So yes, you can do both granular before is what I'd recommend, and then liquids after the sod is in. That no problem at all with that. And yes, you can do them on the same day. And your follow-up is, I'm putting out more St. Augustine in my yard this week. What should my watering schedule be? Twice per day. When should I apply fungicide to prevent disease? Yes, this is a good question. So as far as your watering, the big thing is you just don't want the sod to dry out. So wet enough that it stays damp, but not so much watering that if you like step on it, like if you're stepping on a sponge, like tons of water comes up. Like you don't want it saturated, but you want it, again, not to dry out. So I guess that's one thing I probably did not do a good enough job of when I with the front lawn, is showing you guys like how wet I was keeping the lawn, or the sod as it was rooting in. But the big thing is just don't overdo it. And then fungicide, you can do that as part of your installation as well too. So yeah, so in other words, if you're putting new sod in, if you want to do a fungicide app on the same day as you're doing that, that's also not a bad idea either, because especially with St. Augustine, really prone to disease. Fungicide app is relatively inexpensive insurance to prevent you from having disease problems, or reducing the likelihood you're going to have disease problems, given the heavier than usual amount of watering that you're going to be doing in the lawn. All right. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. If you need anything else, let me know. Sounds like a fun project. So you got all your questions done on soil testing, on biostimulants, and also on fungicide. All set to go. All right, Mr. Hayes is up next. Says, hello, Ron, and all out here in Utah on vacation. Nice, man. That's really cool. Yeah, that's Utah. I've been to Provo a couple times. Yeah. So Utah, I've been to. There's only 2 states I've not visited: Montana, and there's one other. Montana's one of them. Utah I have been to though. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful state. Oh, well, cool, man. I'm glad that you're taking the time to still come and hang out during the live stream and tune in for a little bit. Hopefully, you guys are doing something fun. All right, Rich 70 is up next. Cheers, everyone. What's going on, Rich? Hopefully, you're doing all right, sir. Appreciate you coming in. We got a cash app from John Williams. Thanks so much, John. Really appreciate the cash app. He says, sent you for John's grass. Thanks. You're welcome. All right, next up we have, do you have any questions, John, or was it just, okay, yeah, I see you have a question down here. Let me run down here and grab it really quick. All right, John Williams is here. He says, yep. He says, with this centipede being sensitive to nitrogen, I keep hearing and plan on following 2 pounds of nitrogen yearly maximum of nitrogen for my centipede. What liquid nitrogen options do you have? Yeah, so it is true. You don't want to over fertilize a centipede lawn. It'll actually become a negative for centipede. And then for nitrogen, the same thing we use on Bermuda, it just really more comes down to the dose. So if you came to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to, just go down the homepage, you'll see our 22-3 fertilizer. So you could use this, again, at low rates. If you apply it the way that we recommend, John, at 6 ounces per 1,000, what that ends up being is 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen, so not very much. So you can absolutely use this. There's people that have St. Augustine, have centipede lawns that have, pretty much, this is used on all grass types all over the country. The big thing is just stick to the rates that we recommend, which is 6 ounces per 1,000, which is 1/10 of a pound of N. All right, so I'll send you a link to this here for you to take a look at, read over to your heart's content. And hopefully that helps you out with keeping your centipede lawn fed, but not overfed. Not too much. Not too much. Okay, next we got Brandon Kennedy. He says, hit that like button on the way in. Happy Friday, all. Ron, lay a good one on us today. I'll do my best, sir. I'll do my best. We got some real cool pictures here. So we have some pictures from Mario. As far as like our top dressing project, Mario went heavy. Remember, as far as this goes, he went really heavy on his top dressing of Bermuda grass. And here we are now 3.5 weeks later. This is how his back lawn is looking. Quite nice. You see the sod is, there's still some sand there. Sod is starting to grow through it. For the most part, looking good. And then the front lawn, which was really heavy, also looking pretty good. So if you look like the area that was mainly sand near the patio, that is looking much better, but you can still see some sand over there by the mulch, a little bit down near the bottom, I don't know, like say 7 or 8 or like 8 o'clock on the screen, a little bit of sand there, but overall it's definitely growing through quite nicely, Mario. So good stuff, man. Hopefully you're happy with how it came out. It looks really good. It looks fairly smooth as far as that goes. So yeah, keep going, keep doing your thing. And if you need anything else, definitely let us know. It's looking really good. All right. And as far as the back line, as far as like spot top dressing, I'll show you guys that. So this week I did some spot top dressing in an area in the back lawn that you might be able to make out. So if you look here towards the fence, you see one spot, you see 2 spots out there, like one right in front of the house and one just to the left of the rocks. There's 2 areas where I did some spot top dressing because when I mow the lawn lengthwise, those 2 spots there and again, just to the left of the rocks, it's not scalping, but you can almost see like a slight terracing of the lawn within the stripe because there's like a little bit of a dip there. So something I need to address this season. Went out, did a spot top dressing. It was about, I'll give you an example. Each one of those spots that you see is a 5-gallon bucket of Super Sods level mix. So each one of those, you can get an idea of how much space, how much area I covered with that. And as far as width, it's about the width of a mower. It's about 24, 26 inches wide and 6 to 8 feet long, thereabouts. So the Bermuda should go through that here over the next week or two. And hopefully we'll fix that, that low dip in the lawn. So we got some other pictures here. I think from James. He was showing on the topic of core aeration. So he wanted to show how he went about doing it. This looks really good. He really beat the lawn up. Shows how close his spacing is. Also looks really nice because again, this is a great time of year to core aerate, assuming you haven't as yet, because with the temperatures, the lawn's going to grow back really quickly. And then after that, he followed up with some sand being put out. I think he said he got USGA sand, so he's putting out the good stuff on the lawn and started dragging it in. Overall looking quite nice. And you can see it's well on its way to recovery. So he sent me the entire time lapse as it's coming in. Overall quite nice. Nice work. See, that's about as heavy as I would go, James. I mean, that looks pretty good. And you can see again, recovering quite nice. So nicely done, sir. Great job doing the core aerate. And then not being too heavy as far as the amount of top dressing material put out, which is good. Yeah, man. The lawn's going to it's going to love you for it. The big thing is that I don't know if you had areas that didn't drain well, but with that amount of sand that you put down, it's not going to really have trouble getting into the as far as like water infiltrating into the soil profile, should be a lot better. So hope that helps. All right. Next up is Brandon. Actually, no. Let's see here. We have Mr. Hayes. He says, so on Utah, he says, some have gravel lawns, some have grass. I think it's fescue. Probably. I could see that. Yeah, we're giving in Utah. It's probably going to be cool season grass. But gravel, I mean, it's a lot of work. Gravel is, I should say, gravel saves a lot of work is what I'm trying to say. Maybe maintaining a lawn, maybe you're out in Utah, you don't want to go out there and have to go out and mow. But all the folks that are in Utah tend to be kind of outdoorsy type folks. So maybe they enjoy hiking and hunting and doing more outdoor stuff and not want to mess with their lawn. So gravel is an alternative. Like a rock garden can, it's not for me, but some folks might like it. All right, Ted Rogers says, my man, what's going on, Ted? Stripe action's on point, sir, looking really good. He said, I almost lost my finger in my mold trap. I got super lucky, bro. Yeah, I've never had my finger caught in one. I don't know if it would actually, I don't think it would cut, but it could break your finger. I mean, the scissors ones snap down pretty violently. So I don't think it'd be enough to actually cut it off, but it would, it definitely bruise it badly. Maybe in some cases even fracture or break it. So glad to hear that you are in good shape, that you dodged a bullet. All right, May says 27 right now and only thumbs up. Please, guys, the least you can do is support the channel. Yeah, man, so we got 83 people in the live stream, only 47 likes. So if you guys would not mind hitting that like button, I would really appreciate it. Costs absolutely nothing to do. It's a great way to support the channel. And for any of you guys that are not sticking out around late in the live stream tonight, as far as next week's live stream, it will be on Wednesday night. Just for next week, it'll be on Wednesday night instead of our usual Friday. Let's see here. And then next up is Ninos Yokana. He says, happy Friday, Ron and everyone. I'm here with a big like and support. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. You said, question, I would like to declare a war on weeds. Can I apply tenacity, sedgehammer, quinclorac, velocity, and speed zone all at once, same week? What is the best strategy? I'm planning the blanket spray. Okay, so I wouldn't. That's a lot going on. If you're going to do like tenacity and sedgehammer, velocity is the one that I would say if you're going to blanket spray because you're trying to spray for Poa annua or Poa trivialis, like that makes a lot of sense. Tenacity, if you blanket spray, like the label actually advises against it, but if you were to go out and blanket spray, you will see some slight discoloration from doing that. It's going to be temporary, but just something to be cognizant of. And then speed zone and quinclorac. Like if you're mixing all that, man, that's I definitely would not mix anything with velocity, because the manufacturer is really clear on that. They don't even want you mixing surfactant with it. Whereas all those other herbicides, tenacity, sedgehammer, quinclorac, and speed zone, do benefit from using a surfactant. So at a minimum, I would do velocity separately. But if you think about it, there's quite a bit of overlap there. Like quinclorac is great for crabgrass. If you've got only crabgrass in your lawn, I would do that. If you've got sedges, I would do sedgehammer. So unless you've got like a salad bowl, which last time I've seen your lawn, it didn't look that bad to me. I would not just get out there and just indiscriminately, spray the entire lawn with all the herbicides you got. So I pick a weed. In your case, Annual Poa trivialis is one that I know you've been concerned about. I would just mix up some velocity per the label, spray that. If you got some sedges here and there and you need a spot spray with some sedgehammer, that would be fine too. And then also same thing with crabgrass. You got some little clumps of crabgrass, you can either pull it or spot spray with quinclorac. But as far as like blanket spraying with all that, I don't know what you really accomplish by it, by doing all that. And you really are increasing the likelihood that you are going to have some discoloration or injury in your lawn. So personally, I would not. So hope that helps, sir. It's a lot going on. Velocity, absolutely. And then the other ones, depending on how bad the weeds are, you can use the right tool for the job. I would not just take everything and just hit your lawn with all of it. So hope that helped. All right. Next up for sure. Oh yeah. So Ted Rogers is up next. Is no, bro, give him those lights. You got it, Ted. Well, I got you up there for a little while, so you are very welcome. Very welcome. So now it is just Anthony. You're very welcome, Anthony. Thanks so much again for the super chat. All right, and then next up we have Nick Wren. Let's see here. He's here on Celsius crushed all my foxtail. Do tell, really? You mean it was a really effective herbicide? Who'd have thunk it? Kind of makes me feel good about the recommendation. But the dead weeds is making my lawn look brown. What's the best way to remove the dead pieces? I tried leaving it for a week, but there's just so much of it. It's going to be a time thing, Nick. I mean, what you could do is if it's largely dead, you could go out there and lightly turf rake the lawn. That'll pull some of the dead material out. But what you should find is it's only been a week. If you give it a couple more weeks, the lawn should, the Bermuda grass should grow into the areas where the foxtail used to be, and the color will come back. So it sounds like you had a lot of foxtail, which stinks, but you got rid of it with Celsius. I would just give it time, man. I really would. I would give it time. If you really you felt the need to do something, you could get out there and lightly turf rake it, and that will get some of the dead material out. But it's still going to be a waiting game because, if you, I don't know how much foxtail you had, but if you had so much that getting rid of it is causing to have like a slightly brown cast over the lawn, you're still going to be waiting for the desirable plant, your Bermuda grass or whatever grass you happen to have, to grow in and fill in chase into those areas, right? So just time. That'd be my recommendation. So hope that helps. Glad that you got rid of the foxtail in your lawn. I know it was kind of a pain, but glad to hear that Celsius did the trick. All right, Ted is leading the charge. Just hit that like button, everybody. Thanks so much, Ted. Really appreciate it. And then next up is Austin T. He says, I have Xeon and rotary mower at 1.5 inches. I mow different directions every time, but the grass still lays down really bad in areas. Should I worry about? Is it something I should worry about? Visually makes the areas look super thick. No, not really. I mean, and that is a characteristic of Zoysia. Like if you look here, this is some video of the front lawn that I shot today just after lunch. Put a fresh cut on it. So I figured, you know what? Let me show the folks how it's looking. I get down here pretty low in a second, and you'll be able to see how again, this is maintained at 3/4 inch height of cut. And even with that, you can see how the Zoysia is laying over. Like it doesn't stand up quite like Bermuda does. Completely normal for this grass type. And mind you, this is cut at 0.75 inches or just under that on my lawn, right? So if you're at an inch and a half, it's not surprising that you have it laying over. So yeah, to answer your question, no, nothing to worry about. It's a characteristic of Zoysia. If you wanted to do less of that, you could mow it a bit shorter. But I mean, at an inch to an inch and a half, that's what's going to happen. It doesn't stand up like how Bermuda does. Completely normal. Completely normal. Thanks for that comment, Austin. You guys send us a picture, man. We got to see what the what your Xeon is looking like. Mine is starting to come in. You know, it's 2 months old now. It's getting there, but I'm sure yours, given that it sounds like it's a bit more established, is probably looking even that much better. All right, Jay Rose is up next. He says, any tips on tilling a yard for sod? I have mild slopes from. I said didn't mean to send. Try again. I'm not sure. He's okay. Here we go. Any tips on tilling a yard? I have a mild slope from a culvert dip, asphalt road. My driveway has a culvert dip, like the yard itself, not the flattest. Need to smooth but maintain the culvert. Yeah. So the thing when the company that came out to do the Zoysia installation for me tilled, they did that more as a function of integrating the level mix, or sorry, the compost from Superside into the existing soil profile. So they got everything out, cut it all out. They scraped it out with the skid steer, and then they put out the Superside, the compost, the Soil 3 compost, and they used tilling as a way to really work the material in, more so than as a way to grade the lawn, if that makes sense. So they tilled it in, and then they went back and did the final grade to smooth it out and get it to what it looks like now. So what I tell you is, if you're going to till it, just be sure as much as you can to preserve the profile that you need for proper drainage. That'd be the best advice I'd tell you, Jay. Most people that are using tilling are using it, one, to either get rid of an existing grass, get rid of weeds and whatnot get rid of the existing grass that's in the lawn, or to integrate some material, compost, fertilizer, whatever it happens to be, lime, into the existing soil profile. So no problem with doing that as part of a renovation, but just you know how your lawn, the contours your lawn has to have for it to drain properly, and just make sure that you don't mess that up too much when you go through with this tilling work. All right. So hope that helps, sir. Again, without a picture, it's kind of tough to give you like really good advice, but that's the long short of it. I mean, don't make it to where the lawn does not drain, because you're going to create more headaches for yourself than you solve. All right, next up is DH. He got some new equipment. We got to clap it up for him. We got a new Greensmaster 20, I guess, GM 1000. He says, hey, Ron, just picked up the Toro GM 1000 today. Got any tips or tricks? Not really. I mean, just mow with it, enjoy it, keep it sharp. It's a really easy mower to keep sharp. Like backlapping it, there is, how can I describe this? If you are behind the mower, if you're standing behind the handlebars on the right side, some mowers have them, some they've already been lost, but there's like sometimes there's a black plug that's on, like in front of the, that's on the right side of the reel. And if you remove that, there's going to be like a 1/2 inch socket, or not, like a 1/2 inch driver that you can connect to that and then use it for backlapping. So it's a really easy mower to maintain as far as keeping sharp. Once assuming it's already sharp, if you need to backlap it throughout the season, it's literally popping that off, taking a drill. Actually, I can show you my backlapping rig here. Like, this is what I use to do mine. So a drill, and then like a 1/2 inch extension. That's enough to get into the past, like the cover. And then just run this in reverse, and you backlap it. So it's pretty easy to do as far as maintaining. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively easy mower to use. It's the propulsion and the cutting and the reel are linked. So if you want to slow your walking pace, it's not going to really negatively affect the cut. If you want some tips on turning it, or want to see how you can do whip turns, I think I did a video. I did a video earlier this month that shows that. Granted, I have a 1600, but it's the same thing, same process. So as far as turning more like a Greensmaster, check this out. You may get some tips there that'll help you with running it. But just practice, man. with a Greens Master, but this really applies to any mower. I show a Greens Master, but really any mower you can do it. All right. But yeah, congrats again on the new equipment. It's a great mower, and use it in good health. Just keep it sharp and run it a lot. You're not gonna hurt it. Okay, Frank V is up next. He says, hey Ron, I just applied fungicide as it looks like I got brown patch. I need a verticut as the lawn is getting thick and the reel is floating. I also need to do Celsius quinclorac application. What order would you recommend to do this, sir? Verticut after weeds die off? Thank you. Okay, so you need to apply fungicide, and you also need to do... So what I would do is, it doesn't really matter so much, but I would do the fungicide after you're done with the verticutting. Assuming that you're putting out a granular fungicide, like using something like Headway, I would do that after the cultivation work. When it comes to the Celsius or quinclorac to spray the weeds, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're using surfactant and you spray the lawn, it's not gonna, like whether you verticut before or afterwards, not really gonna make a big difference. The only reason why I say to use fungicide, do the fungicide app afterwards, is that again, if you're using granular fungicide, almost a small chance you could pick some of it up with verticutting, which we wouldn't want to do. So I would say just save it for afterwards. But outside of that, it doesn't really make a difference as far as the order goes. I'm sorry to hear you're dealing with some brown patch. It's pretty common for this time of year. You know, we getting a lot of rain and it's starting to get hot. The only thing I would tell you is if as far as tips to help prevent spreading it around, is if you've got it just in one area, what I would say is if you've got it just in one area, is if you can mow that section of the lawn last, that's going to reduce the likelihood that you're going to spread the disease around and just create more of a headache for yourself. But you're doing exactly the right things. Fungicide is the right answer, and I would do it after you're done with your verticutting. All right. All right, Archie Amos is up next. Says, evening, young man. Looking forward to a great show. My lawn is really kicking in. I like it. With all this rain we've been having and finally some temperature. Here's the thing, guys. This year so far has been interesting as far as temps go, right? Like let me look here what the forecast is showing. Like today, the high was 75. So for late May, about to be June, it's been a relatively cool season so far. The upcoming week, we got temps high 70s, low 80s, and then actually starting this weekend is the last weekend in the 70s, and then starting Monday, it's 80s all throughout. So the lawns, if your lawn has been struggling, next week it really should begin growing a lot more aggressively, because we got like highs in the 80s and then lows are in the 60s. So that's a great combination, great formula for Bermuda grass. When the lows are in the 60s and the highs, anything really higher than that, so 70s, 80s, Bermuda just really even starts to grow aggressively. So should be good times. I'm hoping the Zoysia also does the same thing too. Really want it to fill in and look good. Okay, so hope that helps, Frank. Next up we have John Williams. Okay, he says, John's grass here. So I'm having Centipede sod installed in Savannah. How long before laying it down should I apply Hydrotane? I've got all kinds of goodness this week. Thanks for your work, sir. You could do it literally the day before if you wanted to, John. It really doesn't matter. Day before, day of doesn't really make a difference. I guess a benefit would be is if you did it the day before, watering it in is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's easier for it to get into the soil if you're applying it on bare dirt and the sod goes on top of it. Like that wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. So given the choice, I would probably do it day before the sod goes down. All right. So yeah, congrats and enjoy this. Well, enjoy the Centipede. But I guess, John, why Centipede? Is it just a common grass in Savannah and that you just want to really stick with that, or you just want something that's kind of low maintenance, and that why we're going to Centipede and not Bermuda or Zoysia? What's your thinking on why the Centipede grass? Be interesting to know. Andrew Phillips is up next. Mr. I'm about to move but has not yet moved. He says, hey, Ron and all, have a good show. Do my best, sir. I really do appreciate it. And then Sheed is up next. He has a question about me putting in a putting green. He says, Ron, will you ever do something creative like putting a putting green on the back lawn? Probably not at this time or any time in the immediate future. So a putting green is a whole like another next level of work. So what I already do on the lawn is already pretty demanding from like a mowing standpoint, from a time commitment. If you go and put a putting green out there, like you have to mow it every day if you want it to look good, right? Like you can't really say you're going to mow every 2-3 days. If you're going to maintain it at greens height, so 0.15 on the high end, maybe like 0.2, but like just, I mean, at true greens heights, you got to mow every day to do that. Which means fungicide program, like monthly at a minimum, but really probably every few weeks. And then another reason is a mower. So I'd have to have, realistically, if I'm going to do that, I'd have to have a mower that's dedicated to the green, because I'm not going to get out there and change the height of cut on my Greensmaster like every day or every other day when I mow the back and front lawn at 0.75 and then go to the green and have to, drop it. That's just way too much work. So it'd be more expense and more of a time commitment. And given everything that I have going on, I don't know that I do really even have that much time to enjoy using it. So it'd be a pretty lawn ornament that requires a whole lot of my time to do, that I'm probably not going to get a lot of use out of it. So it's just probably not saying never, but not at this point. And then J Rose says, Shred, he has a planting green back there. It's surrounded by the black iron fence. Not quite. I mean, this is more like a fairway. And again, it's been shorter than that. Like I've cut the lawn and maintained the lawn at 0.45 inches a few years ago. And while this looks good, or while this looks fairly tight, at 0.45 or just under half an inch, you do notice a difference. Like if you hit a golf ball out there or chip up a golf ball out there, it rolls out just like a fairway. So there is a big difference as far as how a golf ball will roll on turf that's at 0.75 versus just under half an inch. But again, even at under half an inch, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work given the size of the lawn. And because I'm not going to maintain that height on the front lawn, I don't do it anymore. So probably not Sheed, maybe one day, but not right now. All right, next up is Chris Allen. He says, happy Friday, everyone. At Aaron, just a note, if you use the Ratio for watering, timers, etc., they have an in-app integration with the MySoil test kit, so it syncs the data automatically and retains the info. Oh, that's cool. Very nice. Very cool. I guess there's another benefit. I don't get to take advantage of that because I have like a HydroWise for my irrigation controller. But yeah, I guess if you got a Ratio, it integrates nicely. Kind of cool. Get another reason to do it, right? All right, next up is John Williams. He says, when it comes to pre-emergent, what do you think is a good rate that I can apply? Also, does pre-emergent have nitrogen? I'm going to get spectacle flow eventually, but right now I have prodiamine. So it depends on what product you're using, John. So quite a bit going on there. When it comes to the rates to use for pre-emergent, the label is your friend. So for spectacle, the rate for Centipede is lower than what it is for Bermuda grass. So just read the label and apply accordingly. And then does pre-emergent have nitrogen in it? Not necessarily per se. So like, for example, we carry pre-emergent that has potassium in it. Like if you look here under shop and weed killer, like prodiamine, or let's actually just do this. Let's look at our pre-emergents. Let's just do pre-emergents. So you've got dimension and you've got prodiamine. Both of these are 007. So there's no nitrogen in either of these, just potassium. However, there are pre-emergent formulations that have nitrogen in them. They're more of like a weed, like a feed, weed and feed, like more like a feed and weed preventer type product. But if you're asking the question, does pre-emergent per se, like by itself, a spectacle by itself have nitrogen? Does prodiamine by itself have nitrogen? No, they don't. It's only when you get them in blended products like the granular products that we carry on the golf course lawn store that you get some other nutrient along with it. All right. Hope that helps, sir. And again, just read the label when it comes to working out what rate you need to use for spectacle or prodiamine, whatever you decide to use on your lawn. If you want my opinion, I would do spectacle in the fall and do prodiamine in the springtime. And just again, really watch the rates, because memory serves me, it is lower for Centipede than it is for, say, Bermuda and Zoysia grass. All right, next up is Aaron. He says, apart from the time difference, is there a big difference between a manual core aerator off of Amazon and a machine? Yeah, so you say, other than the time difference, that's a huge thing. And then also the amount of like the depth of penetration, right? So the thing that helps core aerators to work is weight. And if you're dealing with like either like a push manual one, they're not going to be that heavy. If you're using the ones where I've seen some where they have like the shoes where you put them on and you walk around the lawn. To me, looks like you're ready to have a knee injury. But the powered ones are, because they are heavier, the tines are going to be able to penetrate deeper into the soil. So you're going to, in general, going to get a better result. And as far as time, there's a huge time difference. You know what I mean? It's a huge time difference between using a manual core aerator, depending on the type you have, and using a machine. So I guess you're asking, is the quality of cores that a manual core aerator or a machine will produce, is there a big difference? Depth being the same? No. So if you have like, if you have a manual core aerator that can punch a 2-inch core or a 3-inch core, and you have a machine that can punch a 2-inch or 3-inch core, that in of itself, it doesn't really matter. A core is a core, right? The spacing that a machine is going to be able to do tends to be usually a bit tighter. So that's a consideration. So you'll be able to, you'll have to do less passes to get, a good, as far as a good coverage as far as aerating the lawn. But as far as all things being equal, if the cores that are coming out from the manual or the machine are the same length, doesn't really matter. But there's a lot more work to do it manually. I personally would not, but it's completely up to you. I guess here's the thing. I guess if you have a small lawn, that could make for an argument for the manual core aeration. But if you got anything over 2,000 square feet, I'd run a machine. So hope that helps, Aaron. You can decide for yourself. Keep us posted on which way you decide to go. But if it were me, I would either rent a machine or get someone, hire a service to have them come out and do it. If you hire a service, make sure to ask them to make sure the equipment is clean. Rinse equipment off, or just if they haven't done it before, when they get up there, and again, it's your lawn. Anyone that is, as a professional, really should not mind if you ask them, hey, listen, did you clean the equipment before you brought it on my lawn? So I'm really conscious about disease. I've had like disease and weed problems on my lawn in the past, so I really want to make sure that anything that goes on it is clean. So any service is not going to be upset if you ask them that. All right. Jay Rose is up next. He says, Austin T, that makes me cautious of getting it installed in San Antonio. Xeon or Palisades is what I'm looking at. I have a 0-turn. they're both beautiful grasses, man. Xeon is a really pretty grass. Mine is not a great example yet because it's not fully greened up. But that's 3 days from now, that will be 2 months since that has been installed. And again, it's been top dressed, but overall the color of it is really nice. And again, if you get down there and you look at the texture of the grass, I can tell you walking on it, it's like carpet. It is definitely softer, mainly because I guess it kind of lays down and kind of makes more of a mat versus how Bermuda grass grows. But I wouldn't let the fact that it lays down and gets really thick really put you off on it, Jay. Just maintain it shorter if you can. Make sure you use fungicides. Don't overwater it. Don't overfeed it, and you're gonna be fine. You know what I mean? Just as long as you take care of it properly, you shouldn't have a problem with it. There's lots of people that have Zoysia, and they they are not cutting it at the height that mine is at, and their lawns look really good. So you can do it too. All right. Harper Zitter says, hey, Ron, as you know, I didn't calibrate my new sprayer, and my lawn is orange due to the propiconazole. Embarrassed. Anything I can do to help it along. Is grass paint bad for the lawn? I'm desperate. I would just give it time, Harper's Knitter. I'm not sure. It's been a couple of weeks since you said this has happened, so I'm surprised it's still looking that bad. So you must have like grossly over applied it. But just give it time. Give it time is what I would tell you. Can you use lawn paint? Sure. Most people that do lawn paint tend to do it on grass that is, or at least around here anyway, on Bermuda grass, it tends to be dormant or going dormant. I don't think the lawn paint really has any toxicity per se, but if it were me, I wouldn't add anything else to the formula right now. I would just give it time, allow the propiconazole, like the over application, just to run its course, and the lawn will recover. Maybe if you didn't kill it, it will come back from this. And then next time, you can take this time now to calibrate your sprayer. So here's the thing that you can do, right? I have videos on calibrating your sprayer, but if you just want and you have the time to do it, right? Let's say you want a really easy way to calibrate your sprayer that doesn't involve any kind of math, and you got a measuring tape. All you need is your sprayer, a couple, like a pitcher with a gallon pitcher is what I would tell you to do. And then measure off like a 20 by 50 foot section of area. It can be a sidewalk, or sorry, not sidewalk. It can be like pavement. It can be part of your lawn, like put flags in, measure that out. What you can do is take 2 gallons of water. So take the gallon pitcher, fill it up twice. So put 2 gallons of water in the sprayer, and then just walk the lawn just over this area that's marked off, just spraying nothing but water. And when you get to the end of spraying the entire area, take what's left that's in the tank, pour it back in the gallon into the pitcher. It should be right at a gallon, hopefully, right? If your walking pace was too fast, it'll be a lot more than a gallon. If it's too slow, it'll be less than a gallon. So you can use that as a rough way of figuring out, like I said, figuring out what your walking pace needs to be, given the pressure you're running in your sprayer, given your the nozzle that you're using to get close. You know what I mean? So that's another way of doing it if you just don't want to do any math. So just 20 by 50 foot area, put nothing but water in the sprayer, 2 gallons, walk the 20 foot by 50 foot area. When you're done, pour what's left back into a pitcher, and you should be around a gallon. If you're a couple ounces one way or another, that's not really going to matter. But what you don't want to be is like half a gallon left. Like that's not good. Or having, a gallon and a half left. That's not good. You want to be as close to that as you can as far as your walking pace. So that's what I would do in this time. I wouldn't get out there and spray anything else on the lawn. I would just make sure that you figure out what your walking pace needs to be, what the pressure settings need to be, so the next time you use your sprayer, we don't have any issues. Because really, this is probably the I mean, it's not even really hard, but the really only main concern you have to have when it comes to using spraying liquids on your lawn is that you're making sure you're putting out the right amount of active ingredient, the right amount of product over a given amount of square footage. A question you guys I commonly get either by email and sometimes here on the show is, on labels, they say this much product per 1,000 square feet, right? They don't say how much water do I need to mix with that. And the reason is that the amount of water amount of carrier doesn't necessarily matter too much as much as the amount of active ingredient, to an extent, right? If you are someone that can spray 1,000 square feet with half a gallon of solution, as long as you're mixing, the correct amount of product in that half a gallon of water and spray it over 1,000 square feet, you're good to go. For most folks, what I like to do, I tend to recommend 1 gallon per 1,000, especially for foliar sprays, because that's enough that you're going to get nice even coverage, but not so much to the point of runoff. So if you take, for example, a fertilizer that says 6 ounces per 1,000, you could mix that 6 ounces with half a gallon of water, with 1 gallon of water, with a gallon and a half of water. Doesn't really matter as long as that the amount of carrier that you decide you're going to use, you spray that over 1,000 square feet. That way that area is being exposed or being subject to the correct amount of the product. That's why on the labels for liquid products, you're going to see it's either going to be X amount of product per acre or this amount of product per 1,000 square feet. Some will give guidance as far as how much water they recommend as a carrier. But a general guideline that works pretty well for most things is 1 gallon of solution overall per 1,000. The only time I really ever go heavier than that, like if I'm spraying fungicide, I will, you can go up to like two gallons per 1,000. I've done that before. But all that really means is I'm filling up my sprayer twice as much to cover my lawn. You know what I mean? So that's just another consideration that you might want to make. But take this time to calibrate your sprayer so you don't run into this problem again. Because if you spray herbicides and you don't calibrate your sprayer, you're going to be in the same spot. You spray fertilizer and it's not calibrated, you're going to either under apply or, heaven forbid, over apply and damage your lawn. So take this time to get all that squared away. That's what my recommendation would be. I would not do anything else on the lawn at this point. Okay, John Williams is up next. He says, do you recommend applying 444 on my soil right before I lay sod, or do you think I should put out a 12-0-24 that I purchased? My N and K are so low I could definitely stand for some potassium. I would do the 12-0-24, John. That's what I would go with. If your soil tests say that you're lacking in N and K, then I would apply N and K. That'd be just fine. That is what I would go with. All right. Let me see here. Anthony Hayes, I see your email from you. Okay, dude, I see what you said, dude. I will get this if you bear with me. I got your email. I'll get it squared away if you can. After the show, I will take care of it. I see what you I got your email, and I will I'll get you squared away at the end of the show. Okay, no worries. Hope everything is okay with the thing that you're dealing with. Okay, next up we have CS. He says, good evening, all. Thanks, Ron, for the renovation project updates. Looks great. I top dressed Bermuda in April. When can I aerate and top dress again this year? Dude, you're a glutton for punishment. April wasn't enough? It's only been a month, man. You don't want to just relax a little bit, not just get there and work again this quickly in the season? Okay. He says, when can I top dress again? Whenever the lawn is recovered, you can do it again, CS. So if you did it in April and you want to do it again mid-June, that would be fine. That'd be fine. It's a lot of work, but again, I guess if you want to get another top dress out this year, there's no issue at all with that. What I find most people will do, and again, you can do what you want, is the first top dress of the season tends to be a bit heavier, and will tend to cover the entire lawn, and then the subsequent top dresses will be lighter, meaning they will there'll be like some spot top dressing in some areas. For example, Exhibit Z on Zoysia. If you take a look here, I'll pause real quick. Take a look at the right side of the picture there along the not straight sidewalk. You see how you can see a bit more sand there. So 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, I put out a bit of sand along there. I had a couple buckets of the level mix left. So I did a bit of top dressing along that area. It's already been watered in by all the rain we've been getting. But that's an example of like a little follow-up top dress that I've done, on the lawn. That's what most people do. Most people do not go out and top dress the entire lawn and then 6 weeks later go out and top dress the entire thing again. You can do that. What you'll find, I guess, a benefit is that the second time is that it should take a lot less material to fill in any little low spots that weren't addressed in the first job. So if you're gonna do it, I would budget maybe as much as half as much as material, because it really shouldn't take that much to do the spot cleanup work. You know what I mean? So I would not get out there and do the entire thing again at the same level. For most lawns, it's really just not necessary. Okay. Next up is Ted Rogers says, I didn't reset it when I pulled it up. I'm not sure what you mean, Ted. I guess maybe it's for me, maybe for someone else. Let's see here. John Williams says, have you heard of Centipede liking or thriving in acidic soil like 5? What would be your recommendation for pH for Centipede grass here in Savannah? Thanks for your help, Ron. You know what? This was actually a question, and I don't remember the answer to it. This was actually a question when I was doing the course from UG on turf grass management. There's actually a section on the soil pHs that the various grass types like, and there was one for Centipede. I don't remember off the top of my head if Centipede thrives in like more acidic soil than like Bermuda grass does. So I'm not sure off the top of my head, John. Let me do some digging. You email me, so I'll pull my folder out, my binder out, and look, and I'll send you an email at the end of the show once we get done with what it recommends. Okay. All right. Next up is Gary Kellett Jr. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Not sure if it's me, but why does your mow always look better the next day? I'm not sure if it's me, but the stripes always pop better. Does it look better the next day? I don't tend to find that, Gary. Like, this was mowed this morning, and those stripes look pretty good, man. These are pretty on point, for the most part. Tomorrow it's gonna probably look good. I don't know if it really pops better the next. I mean, here's why I don't know if I would agree with that, because like right after you get finished mowing is when the grass is laying down its best, right? And then as time goes by, you water it and everything, the grass will slowly begin to, will stand up a bit more. So it's not going to stay. I find that right after mowing, the stripes look their absolute best. The following day, I mean, they still look good, but they don't look as good as right after a fresh cut. Yeah. That would be my thing. I don't know. I'm on an interesting observation. Maybe so. I'm not sure if anyone else agrees with Gary. If you guys think the stripes, the lawn looks better the day after being mowed versus the day of mowing. So maybe I'm in the minority on that one. I'm not sure. All right. It's me says, I emailed you with a question. It's me 2017. Yeah, it's me. I know you sent me some pictures, and I was able to get them here before the show. So you had a question about the color of your lawn. You said, why does the green not look as good as it could? So I'm going to show this. I'm going to share this with the rest of the audience. I guess you got St. Augustine grass. Oh, no, it's actually no Bermuda grass. And overall, that looks... So you're saying you're not happy with that. Overall, that looks pretty good to me, man. I mean, like most people would not be disappointed with the color of that lawn. You told me that you're applying like a 16-4-8. I'm not sure if that's all you're applying. That's exhibit 1. Exhibit 2, again, color looks pretty good to me, man. I mean, it's not, it's not nothing really too wrong with that. And then a close up here. When I look at it, like the grass, the tips of the grass look pretty good. Like you're cutting it with some sharp equipment. Like I don't see frayed edges. So overall, man, it looks pretty good to me. It looks pretty good to me. So what I could tell you is, if you want a deeper, bit more green, if you're only using a granular fertilizer, a 16-4-8, I don't know if that product you're using has any iron in it, but you might consider like a liquid fertilizer, a foliar spray. That's going to help add a bit of pop to it. So something like this, if all you're looking for is just color, you could do a micronutrient like this, 6 ounces per 1,000. The 2% iron that's in it will give you a nice pop of color. Alternatively, if you wanted to do the spoon feeding program like what we recommend for feeding lawns, you could also do our 22-3. It's kind of like an all-in-one fertilizer. This has some iron in it as well. Not as much as the micronutrient, but this is great for all-around feeding. But overall, man, I gotta tell you, like it looks pretty good to me. I mean, what you could do, I mean, I do see some brown in the close-up picture. Like there's some old or dead material in there. Like if you can lightly verticut the lawn and get some of that out, that would help. If you bag your clippings, that will also help with color. And you can also, like I said, spray a micronutrient or some kind of foliar spray, and then you'll tend to get a better pop in color if you go that route. You know what I mean? So here's some options for you on the golf course lawn store. I'll send it to you here in the chat. Just take a look, and then you can decide for yourself. But I guess got to tell you, if in this company, among us, we're all friends here, like you showing us this and saying, hey guys, the color's not great. I mean, it looks pretty good to me, but don't go show like your neighbor or like the average lay person in your lawn and be like, guys, man, the colors don't look good. They're gonna throw rocks at you. They're gonna be like, what's wrong with you, man? Like my lawn has never looked like that. In my dreams, my lawn doesn't look as good as this. So again, you are getting to the point where you're splitting hairs here. But a little bit of iron micronutrient will give you a deeper pop of color. So hopefully that helps. But again, I don't see anything like appalling with that lawn. A lot of people would be very happy with that. Just my opinion. Okay, next up is Melvin Otta. He says, hey Ron, what do you recommend for me to control and prevent fungus? Thank you. Yeah, so the thing I'd say is a combination of cultural practices and fungicide. So ways to prevent disease in your lawn. Things you can do like every time you are out in the lawn and doing some work on it to help prevent disease are your mower. Keep your mower sharp. Every time you cut the grass, you're injuring it. And if you're cutting the lawn with dull or sharp equipment, you're going to tend to tear or rip at the grass more, which causes more stress. Also increases the likelihood that you're going to have, if it's exposed to disease, much more likely for the lawn to receive damage from that or to be susceptible to disease problems. In addition to the disease issues, if you cut the lawn with dull equipment, the color's just not going to look as good, right? Because the frayed tips are going to have like a brown or a dull cast to it. So even if you want your lawn to look really nice, cut it with sharp equipment. The next thing would be is to not over fertilize the lawn. So make sure you give the lawn enough nitrogen that's correct for your particular grass type, but don't overdo it. Like more is not better when it comes to nitrogen inputs. I know some people are out there saying, 2 pounds of N or nothing. But I really wouldn't recommend that because you combine, stress lawn with, a big push of growth, like from nitrogen, and especially this time of year when we have a lot of humidity, a lot of rainfall, you create the conditions are there to where if the lawn is exposed to it, like brown patch can develop or a large patch can develop in the lawn. So don't over fertilize. Keep your equipment sharp. Those are like the things you can do on a day-to-day basis that will really do a lot for keeping disease at bay. When it comes to watering, an inch to an inch and a half of water in the hotter times of the year is a good amount of water to put on the lawn. So don't overwater the lawn. And then in addition to that, fungicide applications, right? So we're doing all those things correctly. So you're not cutting the lawn with a butter knife. You're not running like 3-hour irrigation cycles, and you're not fertilizing the lawn with 3 pounds of nitrogen every time. If you are not doing those 3 things, then like preventative fungicide applications make a whole lot of sense. If you're doing all those things and you're still using fungicide, I mean, it may help some, but you're not going to get the full benefits of it. What I would tell you is, as far as preventative apps, assuming your lawn does not have a history of disease earlier in the season, then doing a fungicide app in the month of May and then again June, so what we're coming up here like this weekend, would be a good time to do a fungicide application. So this is all reflected in our product application calendar on the Golf Course Lawn Store. If you go to resources and lawn care schedule and you scroll down to the bottom here where we have it all laid out for cool and warm season grass, you'll see in the month of May, you see your first spring/summer fungicide app. You got Pillar SC or Headway G. And then for June, your second fungicide application. These are both preventative in nature if you're doing it right. And then you're done with fungicide really until we get towards the end of the year. Now, the difference or where you might want to step away from this is, let's say in your lawn, every year in April, you get large patch. Like by mid-April, you got large patch in your lawn. It's a thing you've had for a couple of years running. Then in your case, like late March, early April is when you're going to want to do your fungicide app. You know what I mean? So for your lawn, if your lawn has a history of disease at a particular time of year, you want to do a preventative app prior to when that historically has been a problem. That's the only variation I might make to the schedule. But outside of that, let's say you don't have, like, your lawn there's no disease issues in it, and you're saying, hey, I just want to keep disease out of my lawn, then I would do an application in May and then again in June. Like that works really well. And especially for like most of the folks that are on the live stream, right? Like if you're on a lawn care live stream, you're probably someone that has highly maintained turf. So you're mowing your lawn a couple times per week, probably at lower heights. So you are pushing the turf, you're stressing the turf a bit more. Fungicide is like cheap insurance for keeping disease out of your lawn. I would not treat fungicide or use fungicides curatively. I would do them preventatively. So like the same way how you use pre-emergent to prevent weeds in your lawn, I would, for highly maintained turf, I think fungicides are better used preventatively versus waiting until, oh, look, I've got some large patch forming. Let me put some fungicide out. Because if you do that, depending on when you catch it, you're still looking at a few weeks before that area recovers. So hope that helps, Melvin. We have an assortment of fungicides on the Golf Course Lawn Store under shop and our fungicide section. For liquid, I would say Pillar SC. For granular, I would say Headway G. Both of these have 2 fungicides in them, 2 different families. So as far as coverage goes, you are in really good shape. As far as broad spectrum coverage goes, either one of these products are going to be excellent. Just decide whether you prefer granular products or liquid. Again, either one will work well. So hope that helps, sir. But again, the big thing is, like, don't create conditions for disease to be a problem. Don't give disease an advantage as far as developing in your lawn. And that the big things are: don't over fertilize, keep your mowing equipment sharp, and do not overwater. Like water enough, but not too much. If you do those 3 things, you're going to do a lot for keeping it at bay. And then when you use preventive fungicide, your lawn should stay relatively clean throughout the season. All right. Great question. All right. Next up is. Let's see where we got. CPIMS. Colin is in the live stream. He says, what's up, Ron? Hope your Friday has been well. Has today been well? Yeah, pretty good. I can't complain. Tuning in for some great turf talk and watching some baseball. Curious, how much did you pay for your Toro and what year is it? It was $3,500 and it was, I think it's a 2014. I believe it's 2014. I got it from Prairie Turf Equipment in and I think it's Manitoba, up in Canada somewhere. So, or Manitoba, that is in Canada. But yeah, if you look at, you search prairie turf and equipment, like they get mowers off lease, and this thing was like pristine. I mean, it had like just under 200 hours when I got it. So for a Greensmaster, practically new. So yeah, look out to them, reach out to them if you want. But I'll be honest with you, man, if you're in, I think you're in California, like see who the Toro dealer is in your area and see if they have any mowers coming off lease from a local golf course that you can pick up. Because the one thing that you're going to pay is shipping, right? Like I think it was like $300 or $400 to have that mower shipped to me. Whereas if you pick something up locally, you can get, if you're getting it from a Toro dealer, it's going to be serviced, sharpened, it's going to be in good shape. That someone's gone through it, and you're not going to be paying, the shipping to get it to you. So that's something to consider if you are looking for like a higher quality unit and you don't mind paying a little bit more for it. Go to a local Toro dealer and see what they have that's coming off lease, and you can go from there. Okay. All right. Next, but I got to warn you, Colin, before I move on. If you go to Greensmaster, it's going to be tough to go back, man. If you decide you're going to take this step and step over to the next tier of cutting instruments, you're going to it's going to be tough to go back to anything else, because I'm not using John Deere, but Greensmaster does a beautiful thing to turf. All right, next up is CS. It says, I'm planning on putting down carbonized PNG, Humic Maxx, the carbon kit, and Primo Maxx this weekend. That's all okay at the same time? Yep, no problem at all. That is what I do. So as far as the beginning of the month, it is carbonized PNG and Humic Maxx, and then the carbon kit gets sprayed along with Primo, like growth regulator. So I do the two granular products you're talking about, and then the Release Zero NutriKelp Biospectrum along with growth regulator. That's what I do every couple of weeks, man. So every 2 weeks. So yes, to answer your question, can do that at the same time. Yeah. As far as the order that I would do them in, do the granulars first. Do the carbonized PNG first, followed by Humic Maxx, and then spray your liquids. If you want to know why, is if you spray the lawn with liquids first, and then you go out and put out a granular fertilizer, unless you water right away, which you're really not going to want to do because you want to give the liquids adequate time to dry, to be taken up. If any of the prill stick to the plant, to the leaf of the grass, you can get burning. So that's a reason why really you want to, but a general rule for granular products is you want to always apply them to a dry lawn if you can, or unless you're going to apply it and immediately run irrigation right after. So in your case, what I would tell you is the granular followed by the liquid. And you know what? I actually got a short video for you, CS, you can watch. It was shot a couple of years ago because I had this question coming up all the time. The name of the video is aptly called, What Order to Apply Lawn Products? So if you have 1 minute, 60 seconds, you can watch this, and it will kind of explain what I just said, albeit a lot more concisely versus me going on and on and on and on. What order to apply lawn products? The accoutrement to a golf course lawn. What order should you put them on? There you go. All right, so take a look at that if you are if my explanation wasn't good enough for you. All right, Michael Thompson is up next. He says, hey, Ron, Mike from Oklahoma, wanted to give you an update. Lawn is looking dead. Yeah. Spray again in 2 weeks, and the Tahoma 31 on June 27th. Thanks as always. Nice. So for any of you guys that don't know, Mike Thompson is he's taking on the monumental task. He's going from his current Bermuda grass. I'm not sure, is it common Bermuda, Mike, or is it Tifway? I'm not sure. He has some kind of Bermuda, and he's going from Bermuda to Bermuda. So what I recommended for him is, hey, listen, man, if you're going to be doing that, you want to do as good a job as possible to kill off the existing lawn. Reason being is that currently, not saying it's not ever going to be a thing, but right now there's not currently a way to selectively remove, say, common Bermuda out of hybrid. Or if you have, say, Tifway 419 and you go put in like Tahoma 31, there's not a way to selectively remove Tifway 419 out of Tahoma. You're kind of stuck with both of them. So if you're going from Bermuda to Bermuda in a renovation, all the more reason to really do a good job. Multiple rounds of glyphosate and Fusilade to clean the lawn up as much as you can, so that when you put the Tahoma in, that's largely all that you have, right? So he's halfway through it. He's already got the lawn dying or dead, and then in 2 weeks he's going to hit the lawn, the lawn that's still going to be that's still dying again with that concoction, and then the end of the month, end of June. Nice. So a month from now, putting this into Homa 31. Very cool. Mike, I sure hope you're taking pictures, man. I hope you're taking pictures because we've got to live vicariously through you. Like I've been doing my part to show the Bermuda to Zoysia renovation and showing videos every day. So you're doing Bermuda to Bermuda. Hopefully you're taking pictures. So at some point you can send them in to me, and I will I'll show all the folks how your renovation came out. All right. Take pictures. It's really important. All right, Trilla from Manila is up next. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, Trilla? Thanks for coming to hang out. And then Colin says, there is a 2011 John Deere 220 SL near me that I'm eyeing, and I was able to talk them down to a pretty good price. Just unsure if I should go for it or not. We'll need a little work, faded plastics, etc. I mean, if it's in great shape, it's in good shape, and you've got a local dealer for you to get parts, then yeah, I mean, people that have John Deeres, I never hear anyone with John Deeres that don't like them. I mean, Robert Rainey's got a John Deere, and you see how his lawn looks. So it's not like John Deere doesn't make a good mower too. So yeah, I mean, my GM was in really good shape. Again, just under 200 hours, so practically new. So yeah, I mean, if you're getting a good deal on the John Deere, I wouldn't feel bad about going for it. All right, next up is Chico. He says, Ron, hello. Do you know if there's a big yellow bag company that services South Florida area? Thanks. Jay and Broward. I don't believe so. I don't believe they're in Florida. I'm not sure why, but they're not. I don't believe that Supersod is in Florida. Having said that, though, there's tons of golf courses in Florida, so you should be able to find a local supplier that can get you a quality top dressing mix. You know what I mean? So given that you're in Florida, the land of golf courses, you shouldn't have problems finding some good material to top dress your lawn with. All right, Nipets 2609 is up next. He says, Ron, I sprayed PGR around 7 p.m. last night, and we got rain around midnight. I don't plan to apply another app, but curious if it might not be as effective since the rain. It's probably gonna be okay. You figure if you give it 2 to 3 hours for it to dry, which it should have, you should be okay, Nepets. But you are correct. I would not go out and do another application. Please don't do that. So if you did it, you did the app last night, it rained at midnight, no big deal. 2 weeks from now, just resume your work and you can spray again. But I would not go out and do it again at this point. Really would not recommend doing that. All right. Next up is Andre Taylor. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Finally got some sunny days ahead. Been raining all week here in Georgia. Here's the thing, Andre. We better take it while we got it, man, because all this rain has been nice. The cool temperature's been nice. The heat is now going to be here. So, when you're out in the lawn, it's going to be a lot less comfortable to be out there. But I got to tell you, like the timing on the Zoysia installation, not that I could have obviously planned this, was perfect. I mean, went in early April. The top dressing was done a week and change ago, and we got rain practically every day afterwards. You could not have asked for a better sequence as far as an installation and then also renovation work. So yeah. Tom Hoffenkamp's up next. He says, happy Friday, y'all. Looking forward to a lot of turf talk. California update. It's been chilly and progress on the top dress is slow. I may need a therapist. Golf course lawn store needs a 45-pound bag of patience. Yeah, Tom. I mean, that lawn care will teach you patience. You know what I mean? Zoysia especially will teach you patience. That's one comment I've been getting quite a bit in all the updates I've been putting out every morning is that, man, Zoysia grows really slow. We're taking a long time to fill in. I'm like, man, it's only 2 months old. It's finding its way in the world, But yeah, lawn care will teach you patience, especially when you have damage. So if you have like a disease problem in the lawn or, damage from fungicide over application, like what Harper's Knitter's dealing with, or you get out or like damage from pets, it's just all part of it. So lawn care will absolutely teach you patience. A lot of times when you try and push it and try and make it recover that much faster, you just create, you make things worse. So don't do anything drastic, Tom. I say just give it time. Give it time. It will be all right. It'll grow in nicely. All right, next up we got Sheed. He says, I maintain my lawn at 0.75 inches or point 5, if I'm about to verticut, the lawn has grown slightly. Does it matter if you verticut before mowing or should you mow after? Does it matter? I will tend to verticut and then mow afterwards, mainly because verticutting, while it does do a pretty good job, at least with my mower, like catching a lot of the debris, you will have some of the grass that as it's being verticut, because of the way the machine works, that the grass kind of stands up a bit. So doing a cleanup cut after you're done with a mower just gives the lawn a better appearance, in my opinion. So given the choice between mowing and then verticutting, or verticutting and then mowing afterwards, then I would verticut and then mow afterwards. That's the order that I've always done it. I've never mowed first and then went out and verticut the lawn. It just gives it a nicer, more manicured appearance if you do it in that order. All right. All right. J Rose says mid-90s here in San Antonio. Got hot here and fast. All right. Tom Oppenkamp says Zoysia is looking plush, still committed to Bermuda everywhere else. You know, it's funny you say that, Tom. Yes, I am. I will tell you though, I am, you know what? I am starting to get, you know, quite an affection, probably a little bit unhealthy for the Zoysia. Now, when I looked at it today after mowing, I mean, the stripe action, the way it stripes compared to my Bermuda, it's along the lines, not as good as ryegrass, but it's definitely a different type of stripe action than my Bermuda. So would I go through and do all of this in Zoysia? No, probably highly unlikely. It's a ton of work, ton of money. I'd have to go through and do a bunch of top dressing. I mean, I'd have people, all the Bermuda crowd would come after me with pitchforks. So I think it's just going to be as it is now. It's going to be Zoysia in the front, Bermuda on the side and in the back. That way I got both of them. I can play with both of them. I can enjoy both of them. I can do like compare and contrast, and not spend tens of thousands of dollars renovating it and a bunch of work too, right? Because after you go and install new sod, you can have the top dress at some point, right? So don't think I would do the entire thing. No, it doesn't really make sense to do it anywhere else, because if I did like the swale area, which is the only other area you could possibly make an argument for, is that it will be touching Alex's lawn, and that means that some of his Bermuda is going to try and spread into the Zoysia, or some of the Zoysia is going to try and spread into his lawn. And you know, I don't want to do that. I don't have to be out there constantly having to use recognition and fusillade to keep the Bermuda out, and also he probably doesn't want Zoysia creeping into his lawn. So the way it is probably makes the most rational, it's probably the most logical position to take. So I'll let that ride for at least a couple of years. We'll see. I reserve the right to change my mind at some point, but I don't think that it's going to be Zoysia everywhere in the foreseeable future. All right, Ryan Hefferman is up next. He says, I have drip irrigation for my lawn and I have some weeds. I need to take care of what would be... Okay, so you have drip irrigation in your lawn and you have some weeds. I need to take care of them. What would be your recommendation for a lot of dandelions and stickers in Tahoma 31 Bermuda? Celsius. Celsius should knock that out, Ryan. So I'll show you really quickly here. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, you go to Shop and Weed Killer. Celsius is what I would use for both of those. Those are both relatively easy to control. Yeah, this is what I would go with. You use surfactant with it for best results. So we have a kit that has Celsius, surfactant, and dye. Or the big bottle, same thing, product, dye, and surfactant. Pick which one of those depending on the size of your lawn, how much of an area you have to do, and spray it accordingly. So I'll send this to you here so you can take a look at it in your free time. But yeah, that's what I would do. And the nice thing about it is that, you know, Bermuda, I mean, pretty much all warm season grasses other than Bahia tolerate Celsius really well. So as far as my go-to for a broadleaf herbicide, that would be on warm season turf grass. That would be my my jam. That's what I would do. All right. Okay. Next up is Mrs. Truck Driver. Okay, you drive trucks. Says here in Wisconsin, and weather is just hot, cold, raining. I can't do anything. What should I do? I was able to put weed killer down. Not a whole lot. Just like if it's raining. I mean, the hot, I'm just going to say just, you know, the hot weather happens. It's summertime. So just you have to get out there and mow it, even if it's hot. But the raining part, Just wait for it to not be raining. But I mean, temperature swings, I mean, that's just dress accordingly, I guess I would say. But rain, don't get out there, obviously, if it's unsafe to be on the lawn when it's raining. But yeah, yes, that's what I'll tell you. I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say. Miss Truck Driver said you had weeds, you sprayed, you put a weed killer down. That should hopefully take care of the weeds, assuming that it was the correct product given your grass type and the weeds you're trying to control. But the rain will eventually pass and you should be able to get out there and work in your lawn. That's what I would tell you. All right, What Up, No Fam is up next. He says, what up, No Ron from Detroit. I'm sipping on that Chick-fil-A pineapple dragon fruit Sunjoy, half Sunjoy, half water. It tastes pretty good. You should try it. Happy Lawn Talking Friday. Peace. So I've not done, the Sunjoy is isn't that the tea and lemonade? So I've not done that. I tend to, you know, it is, the only thing I really want to dilute my lemonade with is water. I feel like the Chick-fil-A lemonade, like, you know, really, I don't like, whenever I get my Chick-fil-A, my lemonade, I never get ice with it because I mean, I personally think, like, you know, ice is in most drinks is like a terrible thing. Like, you're paying for just water. Like, it's displacing all the good stuff. So, I mean, I can always just add ice at home if I want to, but I'm not going to go out and order it and add ice there. I mean, that makes no sense. But yeah, I've never had that. So I can give it a shot. What up, No Fam? So you said, so a dragon fruit Sunjoy and half water. Huh. I've never tried it. I'll put it on my list of things to give a shot tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow after karate, on the way home, I'll grab one and I'll give it a try, and I'll let you know what my feedback is. Does the Sunjoy come with sweet or unsweet tea? I guess you'd use sweet tea in it, right? All right, so I'll give it a shot. I've not tried that combination. I've tried the frosted. I've tried just the regular, just like the pineapple dragon fruit just by itself, which is what I normally drink. And but I've not tried the Sunjoy. So I guess I should do that just to have the full gamut, right? I've done everything. I've tried them all. All right, next up is Michael Robledo is up next. He says, "Sup, Ron? I have Bermuda here in Texas. I fert monthly, spoon feed, cut 3 times a week, just put out PGR. Every time I cut to 2 inches, I can see brown spots throughout. How can I eliminate this? Redo and scalp?" Depends on why you're getting the brown spots. Now, here's the thing. If you're mowing at 2 inches, you're mowing at 2 inches 3 times a week. That mowing frequency should be enough that you should not get scalping in the lawn. The only thing I can really think of is maybe if the lawn is uneven and the mower is like dipping or, you know, getting into a low area, and that's causing the swirl marks in the lawn. Like, that could be it. But you're doing a lot of the right things from what I'm seeing. I mean, I don't know what products you're using, but you said you're using, you're fertilizing, spoon feeding, using growth regulator. The only other reason that I can think of why you would still get some discoloration after mowing is the lawn being uneven, because 2 inches Bermuda grass will tolerate that just fine. But if your lawn is uneven, kind of bumpy, especially with a rotary mower, that is when you can still get some brown spots of discoloration. Another thing you can do, I don't have a picture of the lawn to see exactly what you're talking about as far as brown spots. I'm assuming that they're from after mowing. But if you want to improve the color of your Bermuda lawn and you have an easy way to dispose of them, like if you bag your clippings, that's another way to get the lawn's color to look a bit better. It's a lot of work and you do have to get rid of all that material, but it does look better in my opinion. So just one other thing to consider. And then you said, should I cut it low and then raise the height back to 2 inches? You could do that. So you're talking about doing like a mid-season scalp, like a reset, and then go back to 2 inches. Yeah, you could do that. Like if the lawn is getting really thick and you don't want to verticut it, then yeah, doing a mid-season scalp and then raising the height back up could work. It's gonna look really ugly for the week, 10 days after you do this. But I mean, yeah, that should, assuming that the problem is the mower is somewhat floating on top of the surface, which is causing the poor cutting and the swirl marks, the brown marks in the lawn, then that will fix it. So yeah, I mean, that could be an option for you as well. What I might tell you to do is if you can find a verticutter, like that would really be a good way to go, man, because you get all the benefits of scalping without like the lawn looking like it was scalped. You know what I mean? Like you're able to thin the lawn out gently. The turf doesn't really lose a lot of color in the process. It's a great way to also clean any thatch, any dead material out of the lawn. So verticutting would be my first choice if you have access to getting one. All right. So great question. hopefully that's useful. If you need anything else, do let me know. All right. John says, I wanted Tiff Tough so bad. However, my neighbor has Centipede and I didn't want to fight for the runners. Also, the contractor said he would recommend Centipede or Celebration Bermuda. What say you? I can still change. I mean, you're asking the wrong person here. Okay. You're asking me if I would have a choice between Celebration Bermuda or Centipede. I mean, Celebration 50 times before I would do a Centipede lawn. The thing is this, you having your neighbor having Centipede and you having Celebration Bermuda is more of a problem for them than it is for you, because you can keep the Centipede out of your lawn. He can't easily keep the Bermuda out of his lawn selectively. Like you can use quinclorac to control any of his Centipede that creeps in, assuming your lawns touch. But if your Bermuda starts going into his lawn, there's not an easy way for him to really do that. So you might, if you're trying to be a good neighbor, then yeah, I get it. Centipede would, you could do that, but I mean, you really like your neighbor if you're going that route. I mean, if it were me, I would more quickly put like a barrier in between our two lawns to help prevent or to slow down the Bermuda from creeping into his lawn or the Centipede from coming in, and do Celebration. Like there's no scenario where I'm doing Centipede over Celebration Bermuda grass. But that's just me. You're asking someone that just loves Bermuda grass, right? So I'm probably the wrong person to ask this question to. So Centipede is it's just not, in my opinion, all people with Centipede lawns don't send me hate mail. I mean, the color of Bermuda is nicer. Like as far as wear tolerance, Bermuda is better. Disease is better. The one benefit that I'd say that Centipede has is that it's a lot lower maintenance. So if you don't like to mow your grass a lot, you don't have to fertilize very often, then Centipede is a much better choice than Bermuda, because Bermuda looks incredible, but it's not really like maintained well. It's really not a low maintenance turf. It actually takes quite a bit of work to keep Bermuda looking really nice. So something to consider. I mean, given the choice between Centipede and Celebration, I'm doing Celebration. But again, that's not really you knew I was going to say that. So your choice. I would say talk to your neighbor, and I mean, if you guys are close, and just see how they feel about it. But I mean, maybe a barrier or something of some sort. But I'm definitely doing, for me, Celebration. All right. Next up is Hazel Apul. It says, hey Ron, what is a good grass cutting height for these three grasses? St. Augustine, Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, ryegrass. Thank you. So St. Augustine can be mowed like 2.5 inches or taller. Some people mow it shorter than that, but most people it's like 2.5 inches or taller for St. Augustine. Fescue, same thing, 2.5 inches or taller. Both those grasses, the fescue and the St. Augustine, do better mowed at higher cutting heights. Ryegrass and Kentucky bluegrass can also be mowed at those same heights, 2 to 3 inches or even higher, but they also will tolerate being cut much shorter too. So whereas if your goal is to real mow the lawn or just have like that more golf course fairway look, Kentucky bluegrass or ryegrass are going to be a better choice than fescue or St. Augustine, in my opinion, right? Because you can mow them like the crown of St. Augustine, and fescue is high, just higher up. Like you just can't cut it as short without causing damage or stress to the grass. Whereas KBG or ryegrass, you can real mow them well under an inch with no problem at all. So what I'd say, Hazel, is as far as your cutting height, which height you should choose, is the most important thing is how much time do you have? Because the lower you decide you're going to maintain your lawn, the more it's going to require of you from a standpoint of mowing. Like the mowing frequency has got to go up. Like the lower you go, the more often you have to mow, and also the more you have to do. Like fungicide applications become more important as the cutting heights get lower. If you're real mowing the lawn, like the maintenance on that is more than, say, what you're going to do on a rotary mower if you're mowing at taller heights. So just really, it's how much time you honestly have to work on your lawn should be the most important factor as far as selecting cutting height after choosing a height that's sensible for your particular grass type. All right. So hope that helps. It's a great question. Given the choice, I would do Kentucky bluegrass or ryegrass. It's interesting. That's not really a question that tends to like the fescue. like wherever you can grow KBG and ryegrass successfully, St. Augustine typically is not going to do very well. And fescue can be like we have tall fescue here in Georgia, so that one can grow a bit further south. But typically, what I'd say is that St. Augustine, the more is definitely the one that's going to grow further south. Tall fescue can grow in Georgia, so it can be can grow in warmer areas, more of a transition zone grass, and it can also be grown in cool areas if you want. So it's kind of one that can kind of do a bit of everything. And then KBG and ryegrass definitely do better in cooler temperatures. Like ryegrass is used here in Georgia for overseeding, but you can't keep it alive during the summer. Like the Augusta National overseeds with ryegrass. People that want to keep their lawns green during for the fall and winter will overseed the Bermuda with ryegrass, but it's more of a temporary thing. It's like something to keep your lawn green during the winter and early springtime. It's not something you can really maintain all year round. So, all right, next up is Robert Rainey. He says, "Good evening. The front yard is coming in nicely, Ron. It's getting there, man. It's getting there. It's still not quite on Bermuda level, but I mean, overall, I'm happy with it. You know, for just under 2 months old. I mean, this Zoysia's been through a lot. You know what I mean? It got installed, it got top dressed, it got its height of cut reset. You know, it came in at around 2 inches or so. It got its height worked down to 0.75. I mean, it's been through a lot in the past 60 days or so, right? So overall, fairly happy with it. I'm sure at some point Bermuda's going to rise up and try and like make its presence known again. So I have to get out there and smack the Bermuda with some fusillade and recognition. So I mean, that's going to be a thing eventually at some point. So the Zoysia is it's got its challenges ahead of it, but I am optimistic that it's going to be just fine. Should be good. All right. Aaron S says, "Can you spoon feed with granular? I have a 23/8 and 1,000 square foot long. When I try to do the math of N per month, it's like 3 pounds a month, but the bag says only 1 pound per month. I'm confused." Yes, I'm not sure. I would just apply it per whatever the label says on the bag, Aaron. So if you are doing, so 28% nitrogen product. So I'm trying to do the math. 1 pound of N per month is like 3 pounds. Is that right? Yeah, it's got to be pretty close. So it'll be 3. That's right. Times 0.28. Yeah, it's like just under a pound. So if you did that product, if you applied it at 3 pounds per 1,000, you're putting out 0.84 pounds of nitrogen. If we go up to 4, it's probably going to be too much. Yeah, it's too much. So yeah, so 3 pounds per 1,000. If that's what the bag says, then you can go with that. I mean, for me, that is not a product that I would use for spoon feeding personally, because like at the rate that you're applying it, right? So 3 pounds per 1,000, putting 0.8 of a pound of nitrogen, almost 0.9 of a pound of nitrogen into the lawn, that doesn't leave me a lot of headroom for spraying liquids every 2 weeks. So I use a relatively lower nitrogen fertilizer, so a 1608 at 3 pounds per 1,000, which ends up putting just under half a pound of nitrogen into the soil. And then I can supplement that with foliar sprays every couple of weeks and end up around 0.7, anywhere between 0.7 and 0.8, somewhere in that range. So that is the route that I prefer to take. For me, I would not use that high that much nitrogen for a spoon feeding program. If it were me, I personally wouldn't. All right, next up is Rich V says, "Is there a noticeable difference between Podium and Primo Maxx?" Yeah, so they're both made by Syngenta. So that's a great question, Rich. So if you guys notice, silently this past week, we added Podium to the store because some of you guys with larger lawns have been saying, "Hey man, I'm tired of buying 4-ounce bottles." So you can get Primo Maxx in 4 ounces, but you can also get Podium in a gallon. They are both made by Syngenta. They both have trinexapac ethyl in them, so they both have the same amount of active ingredient. The difference between Primo and Podium, what I've been told, is the carriers in Primo, the consistency from bottle to bottle in Primo is better. It's just tighter as far as the carriers that are in Primo, and then just from batch to batch, it's just more tightly controlled. From talking to Devin, who's been on the live stream a couple of times, he's a greens superintendent. He's a superintendent in that golf course in Colorado Springs. If you use Primo as your growth regulator, per the label, and there's some kind of a problem, Syngenta will take care of it. What he was telling me, whereas if you're using like Podium or using stuff or something else, like using some other product, then no. So what you'll find is from what you find is that for places that have the budget, like some of your nicer golf courses, they're going to be using Primo. Professional sports fields are going to be using Primo. I prefer to use Primo because again, it's just a higher quality, more consistent product from batch to batch. But Podium is also made by Syngenta. Like literally, both these products are made by the same company. So I wouldn't, if you have a need for greater amounts of trinexapac ethyl, then I would do, and I wouldn't have any reservations from using Podium on my lawn, if that's what you're asking me. All right. I wouldn't. So, and what I might actually do is I may just switch to that because I've got some of it now, and just start using, keep a Primo bottle around because it makes it nice and easy for measuring, and just use Podium because again, the cost is a lot more, is more effective as far as cost per ounce with Podium than the 4-ounce Primo. And if you have a larger lawn, then it makes a lot of sense. So hope that helps. Rich 70. Next up is Blessed Charismatic Classic Man. All right, man, there's a lot going on there. He says, Ron, how long can you put pre-emergent herbicide down after overseeding? Isn't that tenacity? Yes and no. So as far as pre-emergent, like a traditional pre-emergent, like Spectacle, like Prodiamine, like dithiopyr, like I would not use those after an overseed, or even before or shortly after an overseed, because the residual that they have in the soil is much longer than what you have with tenacity. When tenacity is used as part of an overseeding project, you're talking about 3, maybe 4 weeks of coverage. So it's not really going to negatively impact new grass that's just germinated. Or if you're using something like, again, like Prodiamine, dithiopyr, or Spectacle that stays in the soil for a lot longer, you're talking 3 to 4 months for Prodiamine and Dimension, or per the label, 6 months or longer for Spectacle, like that's going to have an adverse effect on any kind of seeding projects that you're doing. So tenacity, no, there's not a huge issue with doing that. People use tenacity all the time as part of seeding projects when they are trying to keep weeds at bay while the new grass is growing in. But it's just more of your traditional pre-emergents, like again, Prodiamine, Dimension, dithiopyr. There's others that come to mind. Those I would not use around when you're doing seeding work. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Hope sense, Caesar. If you have any other questions, let me know. And Hazel, let me make a note of your question, because I'm sure someone else is going to have that, and we'll do the same thing for you as well. Blessed, charismatic, classic man. You got a lot going on. So you're blessed, you're charismatic, and you blessed, charismatic, and you classic. Why don't you just say, listen, man, why don't you say, I got that drip? You can be like, I'm that guy, I got drip. You could just take all that and just too long. Just say, got drip. You could just, and that's a better way of saying this, what all the young folks are saying these days, right? Drip is a new way of saying you got swag, you got style. All right. So next we have, let's see here. More of Adele's story. Listen to Ron and calibrate your sprayer. Grassy Ron Henry, you're welcome. You're welcome. This too shall pass. Adele, it's gonna be okay. But yes, calibrate your sprayer, man. Like the only way you really mess up spraying liquids is if you put either too much down or not enough down. And the way you can be assured that you're putting the correct amount down is to calibrate your sprayer. You only got to do it one time, and then you're good to go. All right. Brandon Rubin is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I'm stuck. I have 24,000 square feet of Bermuda. I need to start applying all my liquids. Do I buy a 4-gallon backpack sprayer or a 35-gallon tank with a 2 gallon per minute pump and do that way? I don't mind the refills. Dude, I mean, that's over half an acre. That's a lot to do with a backpack sprayer. If it were me, I'm probably doing the spray, the toe behind, man. It's your call, but think about it. 24,000 square feet, you are looking at least 6 fill-ups. So think about it. You got to spray 4,000 square feet. Remember where you left off. Go back, refill the sprayer, come back out, resume where you left off, keep spraying. You got to do that like 5 times after the first initial fill-up, right? It's kind of a pain. So I mean, my lawn, I have to do it 3 times to, initial fill and then two refills to do the entire thing. If I had 24,000 square feet, I don't think that I would go that route. I would get like a toe behind. So given the choice, if it were me, I'm probably doing the 35-gallon tank. You know the reason why 2 white's also nice? When we can't only think about this for foliar sprays, right? Think about when pre-emergent time rolls around, right? When you're going to be putting out your prodiamine and your spectacle, right? You could literally, if you can, you do a calibration of that rig, where maybe you do a calibration for your foliar sprays of 24 gallons over 24,000 square feet. And then maybe you also do another calibration where you say, hey, what does my pace need to be when I'm doing 35 gallons over the 24,000 square feet? The nice thing about that is whenever you start putting out, like, say, your insecticide apps, your fungicide apps, your pre-emergent, like anything that needs to be in the soil, you can add like the correct amount of product to the 35 gallons of water, spray that. So in other words, you use the amount of product that is correct for 24,000 square feet, because it's always, the formula is always the amount of product over the amount of square footage, right? But given the fact that pre-emergent fungicide, insecticide will benefit from more carrier, having more water. If you got a 35-gallon tank, why not use it? You know what I mean? So the more I think about it, the more I'm talking myself into the 35-gallon spray rig. If I'm you, that's the way I would go. Final answer. All right. Final answer, 35-gallon spray tank for a 24,000 square foot lawn. And he said both setups cost about the same. You can get, I don't know what kind of, backpack, a great backpack sprayer is like just under $400. So if you can get a spray rig with 35-gallon tank for that. Yeah, as long as it's like a quality setup and it's gonna be very consistent, then yes, again, I would stick with the 35-gallon one for me. If it were me, that's what I would go. Because 24,000 square feet is a lot, man. It would get old. It would get old pretty quickly, doing refills, spraying all that manually. But you know what you might find, Braden, is you will likely end up with the spray rig, and then you're probably going to want to have like a 4-gallon backpack sprayer or like a little handheld sprayer for some spot spray here and there. So you're probably going to end up with both. But for the main broadcast sprays that you're regularly doing, definitely a 35-gallon spray rig is the way to go, in my opinion. All right, Nick Wren, he says, another question, Xeon Zoysia, do longer grass blades result in deeper roots? Not necessarily. Rich, what you tend to find is the grass typically can focus on root growth or shoot growth at a time. What you typically don't find is that you get large gains in root density and also like a lot of top growth at the same time. So if you're going to maintain the lawn a bit shorter, what you tend to find is that shorter maintained turf tends to have a really strong root system. Like if you've ever seen pictures of my lawn, I think I did some video of it too. Whenever like I've dug it up to replace spring irrigation heads, like I've had roots as deep as like 12 inches. I had like a really, really strong roots in my lawn. Given enough time, and again, as long as you're mowing it regularly, you're gonna have like the lawn is gonna develop an adequate root system based on the moisture that it's receiving. So if you're watering a lot and really frequently, you're going to end up with a more shallow root system. If you're watering, like in my opinion, the way you should, which is less frequently and heavier, then you tend to get a deeper root system established from that. So hope that helps. The big thing is you're watering, and then also the height that you maintain the grass will both weigh into the root system that the grass produces. So again, my lawn has been maintained at 3/4 of an inch Bermuda anyway for years, and it's got a really extensive root system. You're talking 12 inches. All right, so next up is Higgy Pop. He says, hey Ron, happy Friday. Have a great show. Let's all hit the like button. It's free. Thanks so much, Higgy. I really do appreciate that. And then Good Man's Journey says, Ethan Walker says, I've had to go almost 2 weeks because, actually, no, I missed Good Man's Journey. He says, Ron, I just got done overseeding some seeding. I just got done overseeding and seeding some weeds. You're seeing weeds after overseeding. That's what you're trying to say. I got it. How long do you suggest before applying pre-emergent? I wouldn't, if you just overseeded. Do you have any suggestions besides tenacity, cool season, grass, rye, and KBG mix? Yeah, so depending on the weeds you're dealing with, you can use tenacity, good man's journey. You can use, you got sedges you're dealing with, you could use that. If you're dealing with, you're looking for something else for like broadleaf weeds, you could use a 3-way. So I'll show you a couple options here. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop, you go to weed killer. So tenacity, always a great choice for a cool season lawn. For sedge control, sedge hammer is good. If you're looking for let me see, Ryan KBG. If you're dealing with crabgrass, and crabgrass is really the only thing you care about, chloride is a good option. For broadleaf control, triad, this will also work well. Again, assuming temperatures are not too high, like a 3-way will work fine. So the answer to your question is, when it comes to pre-emergent, I would not do it minimum 6 months if you really don't want to, if you want to minimize the chance of damaging your new grass. And then as far as post-emergent herbicides, it depends on what you're trying to solve. It depends on the weed that you have in your lawn. You know what I mean? So again, for broadleaf control, you could do tenacity or triad. That would work well. And for sedges in a cool season lawn, I'd say sedge hammer. So really depends on what you're dealing with. So I'll send you a link here. Actually, I'll apply the filter for cool season grasses. And that way, all you'll have is that. Because if you take a look here, these are all the cool season herbicides. You got Fusilade, which is really fescue, our tenacity sedge hammer kit, velocity PM. If you got, well, in your case, I wouldn't do that on KBG. You got to be careful with it. But all of these can be used on cool season lawns. So I'll send this to you, and you can look at them and decide which one is best for you. All right, good man's journey. And yeah, you're on YouTube. You'll be able to get this. So there you go. All right, Ethan Walker's up next. I've almost had to go 2 weeks because we've had that much rain in central Alabama. Should I just go ahead and scalp it back down below my original height of cut of 1 inch? You can do that, Ethan, or you can work it down over time. It really depends on you. Here's the thing, guys. I mean, it's funny. I've had like the same rain you guys have had, but I've always been able to find, a break in the rain and the weather to be able to get out there and mow. So I'm not sure. I mean, we've had rain every day, but it hasn't been like rain like, all day, every day. In my case, it's primarily been raining at night, not as much during the daytime. But that's neither here nor there. It's your call. You can bring it back down over time, or if you're fine with some temporary discoloration, if you want to scalp the lawn and get it back to the height of cut you're maintaining, that will work well too. Either approach will work. Either approach will work. Next up is Addy US. He says, "Good evening, Ron. Should I use some spreader sticker to my premixed weed and grass killer?" Yeah, I'm not sure what you're using, man. Like some products don't require it. Like if you look at some glyphosate products, they don't require surfactant because they already have some in it. Like Eraser is one that comes to mind. Like I believe there's already surfactant in Eraser. So it depends. It depends. Like in general, for herbicides, if the label says not to use them, for example, Velocity, which I don't have a bottle of it. Yeah, I do right here. Like Velocity, they particularly say do not use surfactant with this. So you would not do that. But in general, I'm a fan of using surfactant with herbicides because it, at least for foliar, for herbicides that work via foliar uptake, because it tends to just improve the performance of them. If you get rain, you don't tend to have as much get washed off. You just get better results if you use surfactant. Without knowing what you're talking about, you're saying it's a pre-mixed weed and grass killer. I don't know. I would check the label and see if the label has any guidance. It should have guidance on there saying, if you're using any kind of spray adjuvants, like what it recommends, or far as like, or how much to use, that type of thing. So read the label. The label will tell you whether it's recommended or not recommended, or if it's even required. Because again, some non-selective herbicides, like a lot of glyphosate products, already have surfactant in them. You don't have to add any. So hope that helps. I'm just going to tell you to read the label. That's going to be the best bet without knowing exactly what product you're talking about. All right, let's see here. Nick Wren says, follow on Xeon Zoysia made at 1.5 inches. I am getting told that mowing higher means less watering and deeper roots. I don't think that's true, but there are actual benefits to longer grass outside of maintenance. If you like the look of a taller lawn, I guess, but I mean, let's see. If it's mowed higher, what are your benefits? Here's the thing, Nick. I don't know that mowing at 1.5 inches really has a ton of benefits over mowing at, say, 0.75 inches. Because at 0.75 inches, you can still grow a really thick stand of zoysia grass. So as far as like preventing competition from weeds, like at 0.75, you're going to have that. But 1.5 inches, you're also going to have that. I think there are more benefits to maintaining it lower than taller. Like you're going to have less chances for, or the conditions are not going to be as good for disease to develop when zoysia is maintained shorter, in my opinion, than when it is taller. You think about it, zoysia, if it's, especially when you get like a lot of heavy rain or if you overwater it, it tends to hold on to moisture quite a bit more so than Bermuda grass, just because of how thick it gets. If it's mowed shorter, like the lawn can dry out faster than like something that's maintained, really, really tall. Like one of the neighbors around, like near me, has zoysia that's being mowed. It looks like 3 inches, or maybe a little bit taller. And the start of the season, he always has disease problems in his lawn. They always got to get out there and put out fungicide to try and clean things up, So if for anything, I would say mowing it or maintaining it shorter would be better, assuming you have the equipment and you have the time to keep up with the mowing that's required when you go shorter. So hope that helps, sir. Next up is John Williams. He says, we people are different. That's why we're here, Ron. Are you the man? Keep on going. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I just spent maybe 25 grand on my lawn. So yeah, we on this channel are different. That's true, man. If you're on a Friday night, if you're on a live stream about lawn care, you are someone that cares more than the average bear about your grass. We can just say that much, right? All right, Gary Kellett Jr. is up next. Is Ron, I had a great moment this year. Last year, went to my son-in-law's house for our kid's birthday, and they complimented his grass, which I laughed. This year, I had 3 grown men walking through my grass with amazement. Nothing better. That's awesome. That's awesome. So went to my son-in-law's kid's birthday, and so they complimented his grass, and this year, 3 grown men. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. It's, what I find too, people that are into their lawns are, I mean, they may not want to admit it, but they tend to be a bit competitive in nature, right? Like you may be someone that did sports before, or you're just a person that just is competitive with other people at some point. Maybe when you were younger, you did sports. Maybe you played some other games, but people that get really into their lawns tend to be competitive in other aspects as well. It's fun always to see, and I always see it, and you see it pretty often. There's 2 neighbors down the street, right? And they have 2 lawns that are nearby. And when one of them cranks up their mower, you can you can almost set a watch to it. You watch and just wait, give it like 5-7 minutes. Another mower will crank up right next door, and they'll be out there mowing their grass too. So it's definitely a thing where people that are somewhat competitive also tend to get into maintaining their lawns at a high level, because it's like another way to dominate, right? Another way to stand out. All right, Maizan is up next. He says, I'm aerating my lawn next weekend. Am I supposed to pick up the plugs? I've seen videos where some do and some don't. Doesn't matter. You can decide which way you want to go, Maizan. I'll tell you my take on it. If you have a heavy clay soil to where whenever the plugs dry, they get hard, meaning if you try and break them up with your hand, you cannot do it, then I would pick them up. If you have soil that is more like mine, where once the cores dry, a couple hours later, you can pick them up and they can fall apart in your hand, then I don't pick them up, because it's like free fertilizer, free top dressing. Like there's no reason to go out and just create extra work for yourself, in my opinion. So the best answer is it depends on the type of soil you have and how the plugs break down in your lawn. You're not committing a cardinal sin either way. If you pick the plugs up, even if you have a sandy soil, you're not really doing anything that's terrible. And if you leave the cores on a heavy clay soil, you're also not doing anything that's really terrible. It's just going to take longer for them to break down if you do it on on heavy clay versus like more of a sandy loam or silt type soil. So hope that helps. It's not, again, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It really depends on what your grass type is. And again, if you look at the video that I posted, or sorry, the link that I posted earlier on core aeration, there's a video here. Actually, I can just send you the link to the video. Let's just do that. How about this? I'll just send you the video directly, because in this video, I answer this question. I actually demonstrated it. I say, hey, listen, if you have cores in your lawn and they do this, don't bother. If they don't do this, you might want to pick them up. So you can watch this video, Mizon, Encore Aeration. It's a relatively short one that you might get some tips and tricks. And I'll be able to show you what my thoughts on the matter are. All right. Next up is Rob the Third. He says heat is coming. Let's hope. Let's hope. Colin says it's actually being sold from a John Deere dealer. So John Deere dealer is selling a Greensmaster? Sacrilege. Huh. It runs, been serviced by them, reel and bed knife in good shape, was able to talk them down to 70% of their original asking price. Dude, I don't know, man. You might do the Greensmaster. If it's in great shape. I mean, they obviously want to get rid of this thing because it's not, you know, it's like when we look at all the green and you have like one of these things is not like the other. Like the Greensmaster definitely stands out. So I can see why they want to make a deal on it. If you can also still go to them in the future for maintenance work if need be, then yeah. I mean, why not save some money and get the GM? It's not gonna be. I guess if you're talking about the cutting difference between a John Deere or a Greensmaster, they're both gonna be like excellent. They're both gonna be top tier. You're not really losing anything from one to the other. Just more of who locally can work on it, and like the condition of the mower. Those are the things that I would consider. Either one is going to be a great choice. All right. Next up is Michael Kuhn. He says, so I found out this past year, as you told me not to use any pre-emergent when overseeding. So if I plan on overseeding most seasons, should I really not use pre-emergent as part of my lawn plan? Yeah. I mean, if here's the thing, if you're planning on overseeding in the spring and overseeding in the fall, then yeah, you're going to have challenges with that work if you use pre-emergent. The thing I would ask though is why are you overseeding in most seasons? Like really, to me, unless you've got some damage in the lawn, like here I could see an argument being made for perhaps spring overseeding because you may have some damage from winter that could cause you to lose some grass. In that case, yeah. But I mean, like overseeding just as a matter of practice in the spring and then again in the fall, just because. I mean, unless your lawn, if you're doing all the other things right, where you're mowing regularly, you're feeding it a good nutrient program, like you really shouldn't have to use or rely so heavily on overseeding to get the lawn to thicken up. You know what I mean? So, but to answer your question, yeah, if you're planning on overseeding most seasons, then pre-emergent is probably something you don't want to do unless you're willing to take the hit to, germination rates and potentially even damaging the young grass. Then I would avoid pre-emergent. In my opinion, it's not necessarily worth it because the benefits you get from pre-emergent as far as just reducing your need to rely on more expensive herbicides is completely worth it. So unless you have a good reason to overseed like all the time, I just frankly wouldn't do it. Like I prefer to have pre-emergent and not weeds in my lawn versus fighting them after the fact all the time with post-emergent herbicides. All right, Rye MU Entertainment is up next. He says, hey Ron, greetings. I need something for ants. They're all over my yard. Also, is it too late to do a full season renovation? I hate partial fescue weed mix I have going on right now, 12,000 square feet. Okay, so for ants, it depends on what kind of ants you have. If you have fire ants, then I would point you towards Advion fire ant bait. And then if you don't have fire ants, you can use bifenthrin, or you can use the Advion insecticide that is not the fire ant bait. So there's an Advion product that is not fire ants, which I just call the same thing. It's just called Advion insecticide. And that will control ants other than fire ants. So depending on what kind of ants you got. So I can probably send you links for both of them if you want. This is the link for Advion fire ant bait, and so this is the fire ant bait, Rye MU Entertainment, and fire ant bait, and this is the one for insecticide. I think this is what I call this link. I think. Let's see if memory serves me, and I am correct. This is the one for the insecticide. All right. So between those two, if you've got fire ants, go with the Advion fire ant bait. If you don't have fire ants, go with the Advion insecticide. I know it's kind of crazy, same name but different, but two different versions of the same name. But that's just how Syngenta decided to do it. And then, is it too late to do a full season renovation? In my opinion, yeah, it's a bit late because you'd want to do it in the early spring or in the fall. You don't want to go out and do a renovation when we're entering the hotter time of the year. You're just more likely to lose some of the grass. So can you? If you really want to, you can, but it's not going to work as well as if you wait until the fall. So I would, at this point, that's what I'd recommend that you do. Let's see, JK Barbecue 708 says, cool season grass here in Chicago. How often should I water weekly? Great question. So depending on your grass type, I imagine being in Chicago, you have cool season grass, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per month. During the hotter time, per week. 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per week. In the hotter times of the year, so during the summer months, you're going to want to lean more towards that 1.5 inches. And springtime, fall, you should be able to get by with 1 inch. The thing to keep in mind, JK Barbecue, is if you get rainfall, that also counts. So it's not like you need to run your irrigation, and no matter what, you always put out 1 inch of water from your irrigation, regardless of what kind of precipitation you get. If you get rain, you may not have to water at all. If you get no rain, then it makes sense to run your irrigation. But given, again, that you're in Chicago, in the hotter times of the year, so like June through early August, then you may have to lean more towards that 1.5 inches of water per week. Whereas in the spring and fall, 1 inch of water should be enough to keep the lawn doing well. All right. Wise Guy is up next. He says, I've replaced my 2-gallon pump sprayer with a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. Are there any tips for startup? Not really, just calibrate it. That's the big thing. You know, if you got a sprayer, calibrate it. Make sure you get yourself a good set of spray nozzles. So if you're spraying herbicides, most post-emergent herbicides, plant growth regulator, liquid fertilizer, biostimulants, pretty much anything that relies on foliar uptake, then you're going to want to use a finer droplet spray nozzle like this one. And if you're spraying products that need to get in the soil to work, like your fungicide, insecticide, pre-emergent herbicides, then a flood jet spray nozzle like that is what I'd recommend. So you can get either of them or both of them on Amazonia. I'll send you some links, Wise Guy. They're not that expensive, like $15 you can get both of them for that. And next thing I say is calibrate it. Calibrate your sprayer, so make sure you know how long or what your walking pace needs to be to put out 1 gallon of product mix of solution over 1,000 square feet. Like, that is the one thing that you have to get right to get good results when spraying products on your lawn. So get some spray tips. They're not that expensive, and then calibrate your sprayer and go to town. Have fun with it. That's what I would tell you. And then you said, currently I have Wednesday and Sunday, 15 minutes for each zone. Okay. I mean, that could work. There's so many factors, right? So water pressure, what kind of like how much volume your system puts out in 15 minutes. So that's why every time anyone asks me, like, you know, how long do you run your irrigation for? I used to answer that question, and I tend to not do it anymore because it's different for everyone. You know what I mean? Again, the water pressure you have is a big thing. How many spray heads are in your zone? The nozzles, like actual nozzles that are on the actual spray head, matter. So for you, 15 minutes per zone might be adequate. If the lawn looks good, then just stick with what you're doing. That's what I would tell you. Let's see here. It's Me 2017 says, I want to continue using Primo Maxx like I used last year, but there's some areas that have not spread into because of the shade, but I'm also tired of mowing every 2 days. Help. Yeah, so the areas that have not spread in, the grass is not spread into because of the shade, like Primo is not going to help that. Like, the one enemy of most grasses, but especially Bermuda, Zoysia, like grasses that like a lot of sunlight, is shade. So if you got shade, Primo is not like a miracle, product, and that it's going to cause grass to grow in areas that it normally would not. So if you want grass to be in that location, your options are to cut whatever's causing the shade back. So if it's trees, hopefully it's trees, you maybe can trim them back or raise the canopy a bit. If it's a house, or some, something that's just immovable, then maybe put a mulch bed between the grass and the house. Or if you have like shrubs there, maybe extend the shrubs out a little bit or something. You know what I mean? But there's if if a grass isn't growing in a location and the area is getting enough water, enough nutrients, like it's telling you something. Like you don't really have to say, hey, can I get grass to grow here? Like it'll tell you. You know what I mean? Like if you're watering properly, you're fertilizing it properly, and the grass still isn't growing, and you can see some big structure or you see a big tree, like there's your answer. Like grass, that particular grass type is not going to do well in that on that location. So you just have to do something else. All right, it's me. All right, next up is Gavin Moore. He says, hey, Ron, how often should we sharpen or change blades? Started sharpening blades in the late March. Miss Green needs to be mowed. A lot of rain this week. All right, so if you're talking about a rotary mower, I know people that change their blades every couple of weeks or every 2 weeks is when they do it. With a real mower, whenever it stops cutting paper all across. So in my case, normally the mower's ground, gets a fresh grind in the beginning of the season. Normally in May, I'll backlap if it needs it. And then again in like July, August, I'll backlap it again if it needs it. With a real mower, it's pretty easy. Like if you, the simple way to know is get a piece of paper. If it's cutting paper all the way across, then you're good to go. No need to touch anything. If it's not cutting paper all the way across and the contact is not too heavy, you can try adjusting the reel to bed knife tolerance a little bit. But even after doing that, it's still not cutting paper. That's when a backlap makes a lot of sense. So for rotary mower, every couple of weeks, maybe once a month, if you're being very disciplined and you're only cutting grass with it, would be fine. But yeah, that's the grass. The tips of the blade of the grass will tell you, Gavin. So with a rotary mower, if you get down there and you look, if they look like, let me see if I can show here. Who sent me pictures? If you look like these pictures that It's Me sent. Like if you look at that, you see how clean the cut is of that? Now, I'm not sure if he's real mowing. He probably is, given the height of cut. But you see how nice and clean and straight all those cuts are? Like you don't see any frayed tips. Like if after you cut your lawn with a rotary mower, it looks like that, the tips of the grass look like that, then you're good to go. If they look torn or jagged, that's when it's time to sharpen or replace the blade. All right? So hope that helps, sir. The grass will tell you. The grass will tell you. With real mowers, though, if you're being very disciplined, you're not cutting anything else but grass, you're not cutting wet grass, you can get by with a backlap or two throughout the entire season. You really shouldn't have to do it too often. Like in my case, now I've got some areas where I put some sand down on the front lawn, so I did have to backlap after I mowed it the first time because it did. I mean, it was still cutting paper in all but one spot, like a 30-second backlap, and the edge was right back. We were good to go again, right? So yeah, I would let the grass tell you. Let the grass tell you. Look at it, and it'll be able to tell you when you need to do it or not. All right. Next up is Mace. Mace, he says, Ron, I've heard you mention rye on at least 2 other occasions. Ron, do you have a secret love affair with ryegrass cultivars? What's up with that? Bermuda nights are going to ask you to stand up and deliver, Sir Knight. I mean, ryegrass is beautiful, man. Look, look at, here's the thing. If you ever get a chance, even if you do not like golf, if you ever get a chance to go to Augusta National when they're hosting the Masters for the Masters tournament, you should do so. Because if you want to see how like ryegrass can look, I mean, it's in all its glory. It's a TV does not do it justice, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like if you look at it on TV and it looks amazing on TV, which it does, like in person, it's like several orders of magnitudes better. Like TV just does not convey how amazing like ryegrass is in like March, April timeframes. Beautiful, beautiful grass. But no, I like Bermuda. I like Bermuda like Zoysia. I gotta tell you, man, like Zoysia, the way Zoysia striping, Xeon is striping, man, it's got some chops. It's up there, man. It's still early to tell, but Zoysia might actually, kept shorter, might actually stripe better than Bermuda does. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's still jury's still out, but so far for 2 months in, I got to say that I am quite impressed with the stripe action on the Xeon Zoysia. It's looking quite nice. Like the Bermuda, I've had Bermuda there for a number of years. I should probably go back and look at old footage. I don't recall like the stripes being that pronounced when I had Bermuda on the front lawn. You guys can tell me if you guys remember it. I don't seem to recall that. So I'm thinking Zoysia might be the king of stripe action, at least on the slope on the front lawn. Okay, next up is Michael. Again, I can see some of the crown when I cut. Yeah, so it sounds like you're mowing too short, you're mowing too low, you're not mowing frequently enough, or the lawn is uneven and it just won't tolerate being cut at that height without scalping, Michael. It sounds like that's what is really going on. Inside America says, should you put down fertilizer before rain? Yeah. If you're putting out a granular fertilizer, if that's what you're talking about, then yeah, that'd be a great time to do it, because granular fertilizer needs to be watered in, and rain is free water. So if it's about your time to put fertilizer out, granular would be, doing that before rainfall would be a good thing. Would be a good thing. Jimmy Miller says, Ron, I just sent you some pictures of my first leveling project last week. Now it's a waiting game for the grass to grow out before I can mow again. Any idea? 1 to 2 weeks or so. Let me see if I can find a picture. Yeah, I'll just get one of these. So you sent me. Jimmy, you got to send them in the right orientation. Oh, yeah, so this one will work. I can get this one in. All right, so this picture from Jimmy, it looks like it's already been recovering pretty well, man. So based on what you're showing me here, yeah, so based on that, 2 weeks, yeah, 1 to 2 weeks, it should be looking a lot better, where you can get out there and start mowing it. It looks like you went fairly light, because the midsection has already recovered pretty nicely. What's close to us still needs to grow in that area. I guess maybe there's a tree there or something. That looks like you went heavier, so that might be a bit longer. But yeah, 1 to 2 weeks, especially now that we're about to get some temperature, some heat, I would not be surprised that you're able to start mowing then. So yeah, should be good to go. All right, next up is Jay Rose. He says, I have mostly clay soil. When tilling and leveling prior to new sod, pros and cons of using either soil compost versus sandy loam. Thanks for the show. If you're doing a renovation, like I would go for like a rich compost, primarily because you're trying to put organic material into the soil. Like you're trying to just add organic material to the soil profile. I would save like the sand for top dressing, like the sandy loam, more for top dressing work, more so than tilling into the soil. So get something like if you have like a Superside near you, you can get their Soil 3 compost. I know some people will take a product like things called like Black Cow. Like they'll use that, like that really, really rich compost, and till that into the soil profile as well. Because the big thing you're trying to do is, again, just increase the amount of organic content and organic material in the soil before you put the new sod in. And then you can use a mix of sand and compost, or a sandy loam if you want, for top dressing. Like that would work well. But for increasing the amount of organic material, I prefer just a straight compost if it were me, J Rose. All right, WJM4 says, Ron, how long will a combination of Celsius and Certainty last if mixed at 1 gallon for spot spraying? I would mix what you intend to use. So 1 gallon will cover 1,000 square feet. I tell you this, right? If you're not spraying at least 1,000 square feet of lawn, then it's probably like you're probably not spraying that much to where you might just consider just pulling it, just pull the weeds versus going and mixing up herbicides. But I would not. If your question is how long can you just leave it sticking around afterwards, I just really wouldn't recommend doing that. Like I would mix what you intend to use it, rinse the sprayer out, and then put it up with it clean or nothing being left in the spray tank. I would just mix what you intend to use. I would not I wouldn't just have like Celsius just laying around there for an extended period of time. All right, John Williams up next. He says, you are so right. I'm about to go celebration. I appreciate that. Trust me, I wanted to as well. I hate my neighbor, my former Centipede. I said, I hate my neighbor. I hate my former Centipede. I'll take a pick on the update. Night, sir. Yeah, so dude, I mean, if you are going to do a renovation, like, why would you go with Centipede if you don't like Centipede? It's a lot of money and time to put a grass in that you don't like. That, again, unless you just don't like mowing grass, which Centipede is a great one for. You don't like fertilizing a lot, which Centipede, also a great choice for that. Then if you don't, if that's you, which I don't think that's you because you're on this show, then go with Bermuda. It's like a much better choice, and especially Celebration. Celebration is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous Bermuda grass. So If it were me, that's what I would do. Chris M says, my St. Augustine looks best cut at 4 inches. So there you go. For the person that asked, I think it was Hazel, as far as mowing heights, you got someone here in the chat and they mow their St. Augustine tall. Chris M is back. He says, any recommendations on how to get rid of hot spots on St. Augustine? I'm watering quite a bit, but I see getting them in the same areas. Yes, if you have some localized dry spot, Chris, can try, assuming that it's not, before we go to products, assuming it's not because you've got like some debris underneath the soil, like you don't have a rock under there or plywood or something that's preventing that area from holding moisture, meaning it's drying out faster than other parts of the lawn that don't have the localized dry spots. Assuming that all that's been checked and that's not the case, then you could look at a product like Foreplay, which if you go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and soil moisture management, like this is designed specifically for localized dry spots. So this is what I would say to use in those trouble areas in your St. Augustine lawn, and it should help you out. Like a lot of folks use this and they report back with really good results. But again, I would also just, before you even went this route, try and figure out if there's something particular about that section of the lawn that causes it to consistently be just struggle. Like if you're with your irrigation, is your irrigation covering that area as well as the other parts of the lawn that don't have the problem? And again, if that's the case, check for, again, debris, stones, plywood, other just foreign stuff that's under the just below the surface that's causing that area to not hold on to moisture. If you want to check out Foreplay, I'll give you a link right here where you can do that. But I also give you some other things to think about as well, Chris. All right, so there you go. All right, next up is Cedric. He says, Big Ron, no questions or comments tonight, just supporting the live stream. Blasted the like button. I appreciate that, Cedric. Thank you so much for the love and support. And let's see here. Riles for drinking. He says, I have some spots of Dallas grass. You frequently say, dig it out. Any more detail? How far around the visible plant and how deep should I go? What should I backfill the hole with in a Bermuda lawn? I'd say 6 inches around the base of the plant is what you'd want to remove, and then backfill it with just, dirt, like soil that's the same as of your lawn, is what I would do. So yeah, 6 inches around it, and then backfill with the same soil that's currently in your lawn. Riles for drinking. All right, next up is Mace says, what's the difference between release 0 and the C product? Okay, the 901C product. And do you ship the new product with the kit? Okay, so are you talking about the difference between release 0 and 901C, Mace? Okay, so there's two different carbon kits. The release 0 kit is 10% micronized carbon. The release 901C kit is release 0 with nitrogen and a little bit of potassium added. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer and you go to the carbon kit, you'll see there's two different products, two different options. You got release 0, which again is 10% micronized carbon, the Kelp biospectrum. There's no nitrogen in this. And then you have the 901C carbon kit, which is release 901C and the Kelp product and biospectrum. So the thing to think about with these is that both release 0 and release 901C have 10% micronized carbon. Those are the only two products from Miramichi Green that have that much micronized carbon in them. All the other ones, like the NutriKelp and some of their other products that we don't carry, have 2% micronized carbon in them. Okay, so the release 0, the difference between release 0 and release 901C, just think 901C is release 0 with fertilizer in it. That's the only difference between the two products. All right. And then they both, there's a kit for each version of it. So depending on which one you want to go with, for example, if you wanted more of like an all-in-one product, so you didn't want to have to go out and get like a different liquid fertilizer with nitrogen, then you could go with release 901C. If you are going to use, say, a liquid fertilizer that you already like, or you're going to say you're going to use like our 22-3 fertilizer, then in that case, you would go with release 0 because you don't want to do like 22-3 and also like the 9% nitrogen that's in release 901C. Like you have to back the rate down on release 901C if you decide to do that to prevent overdoing it. So they both serve a purpose. They both will work well. They both produce different results. It will produce great results. It just depends on like what kind of program you're doing as far as your liquid sprays is how I would decide it. For me, what I'm doing, Mace, is the Release Zero Carbon Kit along with the 22-3 fertilizer. So that's the current concoction I'm spraying on the lawn every 2 weeks. All right. So you can check them out here. You can read about them here. If you have any other questions, let me know. All right. Ethan. Okay, so that's not really a question for me. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. Claude here from Connecticut with the Cool Season Lawn. Have a great show. I appreciate that, Claude. Thank you for checking in. Our cool season brethren. And it's not just warm season grass. Like all people of all grass types are welcome here. Even cool season lawns. Just giving you a hard time. But thanks for being a regular in the show. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so it's John Deere, the dealer, is selling a 220. Okay, at any rate, Colin, the 220 is fine. You will not go wrong with the 220 or a Greensmaster. So I guess you just ask me, okay, you asked me what I paid for the Greensmaster because I guess you want to use it as a reference for what the price they're giving you. I got it. Took me a while to catch up, but I think I've got you now. Either one will work. Doesn't really matter, man. Keep it sharp, keep it well adjusted, and mow a lot. That's what I would tell you. All right, Antoine Clackett is up next. Says, happy Friday, everyone. Hope I didn't miss anything. You missed a lot, man. You missed a ton. We're not going to go back and repeat it. It's too late. Too bad. We're not going to go back and retread all that covered ground. Antoine, that will teach you to not be late to the show next time. But fortunately, there's a replay, so you can always do that. He says, what are your thoughts on Kelp? Big fan of it. Root push versus top growth with nitrogen. Okay, so as far as my thoughts on Kelp, big fan of it. Hence why in the carbon kit there is NutriKelp, which is a 24% Kelp product. You know, as far as like Kelp products out there, look at if you're using a Kelp product, look at the label and see what percentage of actual Kelp is in the product. Like a lot of products you got there that are like some kind of Kelp product, a lot of it is primarily water is what you're paying for. Whereas this is like 24%, Kelp. So it's like most of them are far less than that. And most of them are under 10%. So that's why I like NutriKelp. But yes, I'm a huge fan of it, obviously, or it wouldn't be in the carbon kit. And then as far as root push versus growth with nitrogen, what I would say is, nitrogen helps growth in all aspects of the plant. It does help with root growth, does help with top growth. But again, the macro that is more attributed with root growth is phosphorus. So I'm not sure if your question is like, if I'm trying to grow roots, should I use nitrogen? Yeah, the answer is yes. You want to use a fertilizer that has nitrogen and phosphorus in it if you're trying to grow deeper roots. But another thing you can also do in addition to just fertilizer to do that is your watering practices. So if you don't water frequently, so water, I say twice a week, and water more heavily to where the grass has a reason to try and drive the roots deeper to get in search of water, like that's going to have a lot to do as far as developing a strong root system. So it's not just the fertilizer you use, is also how you water and maintain the grass will also have an influence on the root system that you end up with. All right, Antoine? But yeah, Kelp, love it, hence why it's in the carbon kit. All right, Frank V is up next. He says, hey, Ron, what height would you go with setting Verticutting Bermuda? 6 millimeter above the ground, 1/4 inch above, or 3 millimeter below the ground, -1/8. Thank you, sir. I am a fan of just above. I mean, if you want to go just below, that's more aggressive. But for in-season verticutting, I'm a fan of keeping the cutting above the surface. The lawn just recovers faster. You get to, and it serves the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish with verticutting. We're trying to thin out the lawn to restore like the mower cutting the lawn, the turf properly without causing unnecessary stress. And if you get out there and you're starting to cut beneath the surface, like in your case, like negative, into the ground, you're just stressing the turf more. You are causing more injury. It's going to take longer for it to recover. A cutting beneath, like doing the -1/8, you could do that. Or when I would say something like that is if you're going to do scalping, say at the beginning of the season, and you wanted to thin the lawn out and you didn't want to actually scalp, you want to use verticutting to do it. That's when you can make an argument for a more aggressive verticut. But for in-season verticutting, I'm a fan of above surface. If it were me, I tend to set mine to between 2 to 4 millimeters, and that works great. So just try it out, Frank V. I mean, if you want to try it out during mid-season and doing below surface, your call. But again, for the purposes of what I'm trying to achieve with verticutting throughout the season, I tend to like it above the surface. So hope that helps, sir. Sounds like you got some good equipment. I mean, if your equipment is good enough that you can actually set it up that precisely, just above, just below, it sounds like you got a nice bit of kit. So that's nice. All right. Next up, we have, let's see what other questions we got here. I know we're winding down. We got Toucan Sam. He says, how do you get a tighter turf grass from Bermuda? Mow it at lower cutting heights frequently. Use growth regulator. Those things will cause it to thicken up. But yeah, just regular mowing at lower cutting heights especially will cause Bermuda or will encourage Bermuda to get really thick. That's what I would tell you. And again, little Primo and a new EZ also doesn't hurt either. That's what I would tell you, Toucan Sam. Frank says, I got too many clippings and die off from weeds in the lawn. I got to verticut it. It's causing disease and real mowing issues. Okay. Sounds like a plan. And then next up, he says, Ron, I think you missed what It's Me 2017 was asking. He's saying that he's tired of mowing and wants to use PGR, but has areas that are thin. What should he do? Yeah. So I kind of got what he was saying. I was saying if he wants the thin areas, Brandon, he said are in shaded spots. And what I was saying is if you're afraid of PGR preventing the thin spots from filling in, it's not the PGR that's doing it, it's the shade. So maybe I probably didn't do a good job answering his question, but I do remember him mentioning shade in the question. And so I guess if you have a bare spot and should you be afraid of using plant growth regulator because it's going to negatively affect that bare spot from eventually filling in? The answer is no. Like I had a small area of some spring dead spot in my back lawn near the rocks. And now that we're getting some temperature, the lawn, it's filling in really nicely. And it's been under regulation since like March timeframe, right? So PGR is not going to really negatively affect that. What will affect it is shade. So if you got shade, that's the thing to be concerned about, not really the PGR. So again, I probably didn't do a good job answering the question, but that is what I was trying to say, but apparently failed at doing so. All right. Matthew Whiteman. I'm not sure if you had another question because I missed the first part of it. You said you did a French drain install in the yard this past fall. So now I have bare spots in that area with Bermuda. The runners are starting to fill in. Do you recommend any other products to put in that area? Not really, man. Just feed it like you're feeding the rest of the lawn. So if you're, a good diet of nitrogen and potassium, if your lawn needs phosphorus, your soil needs phosphorus, also apply that too. But just a good balanced fertilizer with regular mowing, plenty of sunlight, and it will fill in over time. Like it sounds like it's already doing its thing, so just give it time. Just a time thing. There's nothing else I'd really do other than that. You're very welcome, Mace. And then we have Ralph for drinking says I had a service aerate last Tuesday, getting back down this 1-inch height of cut after the rain and let the grass get taller than usual. Next is 25 pounds per 1,000 of carbon/humic soil amendment, fert, hydrotane. So you got to figure it out, man. All right. Let's see here. Cooper says, Ron, your daughters used to drop in the live stream to support their dad. At their age, do you have any interest in lawn care or gardening? Will you pass down real mowers to them? Unlikely that will happen. Yeah, I mean, unlikely. I mean, probably have just doing other stuff, right? They've grown, they have lives, and let's face it. I mean, not everybody can appreciate like the small nuances of growing a great stand of turf grass. And young folks, a lot of them in general, not really into lawn care that much. There's a few, but for the most part, not typically young, not really a young people thing. Okay, the Everyday Life says I aerated and top dress, but I couldn't cut it low. I've been cutting at 3/4 of an inch. but I haven't been able to since Sunday because of the rain. Do you think it could be an issue with recovering? So you aerated, you top dressed, but you couldn't cut it low. You've been cutting at 3/4 inch. Yes, that's fine. I mean, I don't see any problems in what you are describing. So if you top dress the lawn at 3/4 of an inch, that's just fine. Like that's the height of cut that the slope was at when I top dressed it. So you should be just fine in everyday life. Nothing to be concerned about. So 12 cubic yards of material. Good Lord, man. Whew. And you're still alive? You're still walking? Good man. See, Gary Kellett Jr. says, Ron, got home late from work and I wanted to cut, but tomorrow my neighbors are going to cut and timing is is essential. Once they're done, then the big dog comes out and throws those stripes. So let me get this straight. So Gary, you are the ultimate like one-upmanship. Is what I'm hearing saying, so you need to cut today, but you're saying, you know what, they haven't cut yet. I'm gonna let them go out and play, and then I'm gonna go out and mow my lawn and show them how it's supposed to be done. This is like knowing that you've got like a really long drive. Like you can break like 300 yards in your drive and you're out with somebody. So go on, you tee off first. You go and drive first. And then after they hit their drive, maybe 210, 220, 250, and you go and lay one out there, then you have to show them up. So I get it. I see what you're about, man. You want to show them that, no matter how hard they try, they will never match your level of stripe action. You want them to have to appreciate it. I get it, man. I would like to say that I am not that vain at times, but I'd be lying. All right. Antoine Clacken says, thank you. 50% by weight kelp. I'm start using. Cool. Very nice. Next up is Joseph Wynn. He says, my front lawn has always been too shady for Bermuda to do well, northwest facing, so I'm going to try out Emerald Zoysia. I read that it's a shade. It's better to have a higher height of cut along with PGR. Your thoughts? Yeah, because there's more leaf to catch sunlight. But I mean, that's not like a magic bullet. In other words, if your lawn is not doing... In other words, if your lawn's not doing well at say an inch, if you cut it at maintain it at like 3 inches, it might look a bit better, but it's not going to be this magic, this drastic shit difference to where if at an inch it's like brown and dying and not doing well at all, and then you magically raise the height of cut to 3 inches, it's going to look phenomenally better. I mean, the thing I would tell you, the best thing to help the lawn look better is just get more sunlight on it if you can. But it sounds like it's your house. It's your house. The way your house is oriented, that's causing the problem. But yeah, Emerald Zoysia, Xeon Zoysia, both quite shade tolerant. Either can work well. As far as PGR and shade, no, that's really more of suppressing growth, and it will help the lawn to thicken up. But again, you still need sunlight. Like sunlight is the fuel, right? That's the fuel to help power growth. So Zoysia is a good choice over Bermuda if you got shade, but I mean, it's not like, if you're going to be mowing the lawn drastically higher, like that's going to be the thing that saves you versus mowing it at a shorter cutting height. All right. Maxwell, let's see here. Maxwell Perry says, I bought Primo Maxx, but I live in Mass and the guys at someone laughed at me. Should I use it in this area with perennial rye? Yeah, I mean, you can use Primo on any grass. I mean, you can use it on ryegrass, like a bluegrass, Bermuda grass, Zoysia. Yeah, you could absolutely use Primo on ryegrass. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why they laughed at you. Maybe because they don't use Primo. Maybe they don't think it's necessary. But yeah, it's absolutely a thing. It's labeled for use on ryegrass. I'm not sure why they laughed at you, but whatever. Go, you spray Primo on your lawn, take pictures of it when it's looking incredible, and go back and show them. Be like, hey guys, look, man, my lawn with Primo looks pretty nice, huh? All right, and then I think that's it. That's our last comment of the evening. Mace is like, Gary, it's hammer time. Can't touch this. I got it. But yeah, Claude Thompson, who happens to have a cool season lawn up in Connecticut, says, I'm not sure why they would laugh at you, Maxwell, but PGR works really well, especially when they team with a new EZ. Yeah, so I don't know what the problem was. But whatever. They who knows why people do the things they do half the time, right? Well, guys, gals, on that bombshell, we will cue the outro music. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. It's been a fun show, a little bit shorter tonight, but it was still fun, still good. But I tell you guys again, for next week, the show's going to move to Wednesday night, just for next week. Then we'll be back to our normally scheduled time. So what is that? It is June 4th. June 4th. The show will be on a Wednesday night, so I'll schedule it early. I'll get it scheduled by Monday, and just for next week it will be on Wednesday night, and then we'll be back to our normally scheduled time of Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really do appreciate all the love and support. As always, if you're in need of fertilizers, plant growth regulator, herbicides for your lawn to get you guys the lawn that your neighbors are absolutely going to envy, feel free to check out the Golf Course Lawn Store. We'd love the opportunity to earn your business. Again, have an amazing weekend. We will talk next week. I'm out.